I'm your host Rob. It's Monday night. It's therefore it's Age of Sigmar night. So fuck my microphone. So anything could be happening. All sorts. I've got to do things with mics and stuff. Hello, welcome to the show. I hope you are all well. If you're watching live on Twitch, I imagine you haven't got in the room yet. But if you are watching on YouTube and you're watching it back and you're one of the cool guys who watch it back, can I just say a big thank you to you guys. You guys are cool as all heck. That's what I think. Those guys are cool as all heck, Nathan. What do you think of that?
That's a very old-fashioned way of saying something.
Saying something. Yeah, you guys are great.
So dank.
Yeah, dang. Yeah. See, yeah, that worked. Smashed it. Okay, yes. So if you guys are one of the guys that watch on YouTube, you guys are awesome. Thanks for leaving comments. Appreciate that. Loads of love. If you're one of the podcast listeners, you guys are also awesome too. Full Greener, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that a ton. If you're any of those guys, anyone in the world,
if you're anybody, and you're hearing this message,
but if you're not one of those guys, fuck you. Fuck you in particular, I think.
If you don't hear this, you can fuck right off.
yeah. But if you are listening, then you have got clearly the best big dick energy in the world. That's my opinion. Right, so today me and Nathan are not going to be on the show for very long. Nathan was waylaid because am I right in thinking, Nath, that you actually got sidetracked because there was a bunch of guys who were sending you alternate Gloomspite Gits lists for Adepticon, and you actually had to stop. Is it right that there was the Gloomspite Gits Seer Council that you went and joined, and you're all wearing hoods, and you met in the woods, and someone brought some spiders with them, and then they were like, what army will you take? And one of them, Warboss Timmy, was like, many Gits. Yeah?
Yeah, it was well dank in the woods.
It was so dank in the woods?
Yeah.
Alright, good.
Something like that, a dank seer council.
Yes. So, evening to everyone. Hook and Pin, Tomb King Tristan, Lukewarm, we're very sorry that we're late. Thank you to everyone on Patreon. You guys are wonderful. Thank you very much to everyone on Twitch. Thank you, big shout out this week specifically to Mr. Josh Boos. Or Omega Havoc. He was very lovely to us this week, so big thank you. You guys are the best.
Cool.
Grobga, fantastic guy, Mr. Kapowski. Thanks everyone for joining us. You guys are great. Nath, let's just jump right into it. Me and Nathan are not going to be on the air very long. Paul Bastian, what a wonderful man, gorgeous man. Me and Nathan are not going to be on the air very long, so we've got to go to Adepticon in a day and a half. Have you picked an army?
Yeah.
Have you packed an army?
No.
Have you painted it all?
Maybe. No, if I can get the sneaky snufflers done, then they're going.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons. And then we got to pack and make sure. I'm going to pack it for you to make sure it gets. Unless you went and bought. Did you buy one of them things?
I'm going to buy one tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, we kind of go tomorrow a bit, don't we?
No, we go on Wednesday.
Kind of Wednesday night. Anyway, we'll sort it out.
Wednesday morning.
It'll be fine. So what list? So what list have you finally settled on?
So I'm going to take Scragrok the Loon King.
Nice, finally.
With Handogork, because it's a cool spell. And then he's going to have a mate who's a Fungoid Cave Shaman.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And he'll probably have the Great Green Spite. Then there'll be 2 Madcap Shamans. They'll probably have Called the Moon and Itchy Nuisance.
Okay, good.
Then I'll also have a Loon Boss.
A Loon Boss?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think the Fungoid is probably going to end up wearing the Verdant Mantle.
Okay. Well, what does that do?
So that lets him dispel at no cost. Unbind.
Unbind?
No, dispel. Dispel, that's the word.
Dispel,
yeah.
Okay, at no cost.
At no cost.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah. And then
OJ, thanks for subscribing for 6 months. This has been emotional. I agree.
Then there's 60 Stabbergrots. Yeah.
Finally, you took a 60.
Yeah, a 60 and a 40. The 40 are probably shooters.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew,
40
pew,
shooters.
Pew, pew. 6 of them will have nets though. So 34 with shooters and 6 with nets. And then a small squig herd.
Yeah.
Of 5 squigs and 1 herder.
Why have you got a squig herd?
Because that finishes off my battle line.
Oh, okay.
So 70 points of battle line.
That's pretty cheap for battle line.
Yeah.
Oh, Mr. Hector, thanks for subscribing for 7 months in a row. He says Nurgle is happy, and Lee Bromley, evening. Bill Robertson. We will be talking about hello, Nikos. He says hello to you, Lou bosses. I think he's mainly talking to you, Nate. Just Nikos, one of our wonderful 40k show hosts. Brad Glover has asked if we'll talk about Throne Skulls. We will talk about that for a moment, just to keep everyone up to date.
Unit of 10 Boingrop Bounders.
Finally. Well, I have been seeing you paint them, so I was expecting those to be in the list, as they say.
Yeah. The sneaky snufflers, if I get them painted in time. If not, then I'll just whack another loon boss in there. Same points.
Okay. Why are you taking so many loon bosses?
To buff the crots.
Okay. Alright. And what else?
And also they'll buff the Ale Guzzler Gargant, which I'm taking.
Fucking hell. The Ale Guzzler Gargant.
Ale Guzzler Gargant.
Yeah.
Then some endless spells.
Which endless spells?
I'm going to take the Malevolent Moon.
Yeah. Which is that now on a different base size?
Nobody knows what base size it is.
Can you explain to me the situation with the base sizes of the Malevolent Moon?
Just pick a size, any size.
Pick a size, any size?
Yeah.
Alright, okay, good.
It is.
Yeah.
The Scuttle Tide, which just comes on the base it comes on.
I would really, really, really like it if they changed the base size for the Scuttle Tide, though. That would be the best.
Put it on a 25mm.
Yeah. Shit. Oh, yeah. Go on then.
Yeah, so Scuttle Tide as well. So Malevolent Moon, Scuttle Tide, Mork's Mighty Mushroom, the Aether Void Pendulum, and the Quicksilver Swords.
You can take... Alright, nice.
There you go.
Nice, okay, good. So you settled and you're good. If you remember that you also have to do a 1,000-point list.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Zarbag and his gits, and some other gits.
And some other fucking gits. Alright, good.
Yeah.
Someone was asking about a Chicago grant. That's what you'd call it. It's a gargant, but from Chicago. That was from Sinise. That guy knows.
That went over my head, that did.
Tomb King Tristan, one of the moderators, asks, why doesn't that twat Nath post his painting progress in the Discord? ? Do you know how to... So, FYI, me and Nathan went to Australia. Nathan, ever been to Australia before?
No.
Okay, we went to Australia. We met many a person you could do selfies with. We saw things. We saw the Opera House, Sydney Bridge. We saw beautiful things. You saw a kangaroo.
I saw a kangaroo, yeah.
You saw a kangaroo. While you were in there, with your mobile phone in your hand for the entire time in Australia, how many pictures did you take?
I took pictures of the kangaroo.
How many other pictures did you take?
I didn't take any other pictures.
You took no other pictures?
Kangaroo.
So that might give you some indication as why he doesn't really update you with other pictures.
The only pictures on my phone are Moonclang grot lists.
That's it.
And a kangaroo.
Oh, a kangaroo. Fair. Oh, Dylan's supervising in the chat. If you guys also
he's seen a kangaroo.
He's seen many a kangaroo. Also, you guys can now check him out on the late night Monday slot time. Dan late night. If you're in the UK, late night Dan.
Late night Dan.
Or if not, more Australian time Dan. But Dan's obviously in Canada now, so Canadian time Dan. But basically, at some point between when we go off air and some point between Tuesday, Dan is on the air. And you can watch him, and it's worth it because he is a fucking national treasure, whichever nation he's in my opinion.
Cool.
I mean, he plays a shit army, but that's fine.
Fuck you.
Good. Right, excellent. There are some news this weekend. There's Reticent in the chat. El Captain WS10, I saw this weekend. What a babe. There's a bunch of really nice guys. Speckles is in the chat. He's a lovely, lovely man. Lee Bromley, loads of those. So, yeah, we'll talk quickly about Throne of Skulls. There was also another event in Australia, SAGT, which is cool. Just touch on those a little bit. I've read some of the Khorne Battletome. I'd like to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I had 2 practice games today with my
cool.
army. As you know, I've been painting my...
How did those go then?
The practice games.
Yeah.
I won on the first turn on the first game, so we just started again.
What were you playing against?
I was playing against Legions of Nagash.
Okay. You won on the first turn with Legion against Legion.
Well, yeah,
you just killed the general.
No, first turn I just cast that dumb Skaven spell.
Oh, you managed
So I'm going to want to put this into context. I'm taking the Warp Lightning Vortex to Adepticon as my spell, as one of my other spells. I would like to describe it as someone who's using it and who intends to use it. It requires, I'm going to put this in a list. 1, 0 skill to use. 2, is dumb and incredibly easy and requires no talent or execution in any way, shape or form. 3, ridiculously overpowered and sensationally stupid. 4, if you're using it, just a barrel of laughs. Yeah, because fuck those guys. Yeah, you just cast it and your opponent's like, well, I'm fucked now. And I'm like, yeah. And if I don't cast it, I've still got 1900 points of actual army to play the game with. But if I do cast it, so it's basically, this is my experience. This is what I did. I was like, there's a piece of arcane. Can I roll a 7? I did. +1. That's an 8. Cast a spell. I win the game. I mean, I had to do some other stuff, but you know when you like talk about moments in a game that decide how the game go, casting Warp Lightning Vortex effectively decides the game. Because I did like...
so you screwed against Khorne then?
What? Yeah. Which is why I'd like to talk about the Khorne book a little bit. OJ saying bloody Vortex. I agree. The rat trap is... yes, it's the Vortex. Just so dumb powerful. So easy to use. So ridiculously overpowered. Like, I was just like I just wanted to... first game, I just did it. And then, so I played a lovely man called Dan Moody, who's a commission painter. If you guys ever want to check him out. Really, really nice man. Just, like, he had Legions of the Gash army. I just cast it at him. And then he was fucked. I also managed to get off Geminids as well, against Arcan, somehow, but whatever. And then later on I got off Shackles. So his just entire army was just, like, fucking rooted. Also, the Massacre Slash ran up, and he was like movement 2, which I fucking loved because I just kept doing this. I was like, hey Dan, how fast is your army? He's like, it's movement 4. And I was like, how fast is that? He's like, it's as fast as a dwarf. Which I really enjoyed making him do. Also, I've decided, thank you very much, Gobda, 6 dice skills, but now it's just 2 dice skills. So I want everyone to be conscious that when I talk about the Vortex, I might take it out of the list. Honestly, I thought about it today. I was like, I might just take it out because it's fucking lame. Like, it's so... I mean, if you play against... I don't know, maybe I'm a coward. I just don't want to. Maybe I should just replace it with a Gargan, and stop being such a fucking baby about it.
Why aren't you taking an Ale Guzzler Gargan?
Can I take a Chaos Gargan? I think, because you used to be able to take Gargants with Legion of Asgore, but I don't know if you can take Gargants now.
Well, why are you playing such a useless army?
It's a great army. How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? Oh, do you want me to show you my my general?
Only if he's a Gargant.
No, he's not a Gargant. Evening Wargaming Dad. Movement 4 is not a dirty word. Yeah, but I enjoy making everyone be movement 4. I'm like, you're movement 4 or you're movement 3.
Go on then. Show us your General.
I'll go do
Generalissimo.
Generalissimo. I'll go get him for you. So I just finished him today.
Is he all painted up now? He's pretty flash.
So I had to decide. I don't know if you guys can see on the screen there. I had to decide what. Can you guys see? Yeah, you can see. There he is. I had to decide what artifact I was going to take. So I've only got one. And last show we talked about like the range of options that I had as an artifact.
Yeah.
And so I thought, nah, fuck it. I'm just going to take the Thermal Rider Cloak. Yeah. And make my dwarf be movement 8 and fly. Because that's how it works. So I've given him some wings from Kairos and stuck him on a disc of Zinch, and then modelled some magma that he's surfing.
That's great. Just don't fly him near the vortex, otherwise you won't be able to fly. And
Yeah,
you'll be back to movement 4.
Thanks very much. Thanks guys. I feel like Brad Glover's in the chat. I feel this is suitably a Brad Glover-esque. I mean, it's on a 32mm base, and he's got a disc, wings, and it's ridiculous. Also, by the way, he fought today 2 Morghast Archi and won the combat.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because he was in cover, and they came in. And
charged down the hill. Combat resolution.
Combat resolution. He was flying.
Had a banner. In the flank.
Dwarfs with wings, now they're truly unstoppable. That's right. And also movement 8. So I like the concept of closing my opponent's movement down to movement 2 or 3.
And then being doubling like, your own.
Doubling my own. And then also running and being like, look how fast I am. I'll put some pics up, I promise.
Where?
So,
in Discord?
on Twitter, in Discord, the whole thing. Yeah, Gordon's alive. He does look like that. Thanks, K-Dread. He does look a bit like him. So I've decided I think I'm also going to drop a Demon Smith as well, because I've got 3 currently, and I'm going to take another 10 Fireglaves, because basically Fireglaves are the best thing in the whole game ever, forever and always. 14 of them killed Arcan from Alive to Dead today. Not a problem. Another 30 of them just wiped out 30 Reapers. Not an issue. They're just dumb good.
Lots of shooting.
Yeah, just too much shooting. They're just so good. Yeah, so I'm going to have 80 Fireglaves, I think is going to be the plan. But I don't know if like I said last week, I don't know if I should take them in. I'm thinking I'm going to take a 30, a 20, and 3 10s is going to be in the plan. Because the 10s are like nice little screens. And 10 shots doesn't sound like a lot, but because I know it's going to sound silly, you normally roll 2 6s. Like, you just get a couple of mortal wounds, which often is more than... Like, 2 wounds is quite decent, really, if you're shooting at the right targets. So yeah, long story short, the army was really good today, but the thing is really stupid, the Vortex.
How did the second game go?
Oh, same. Well, not same. I guess the Vortex that time, it didn't do loads of stuff, and then he did actually manage to unbind it, which was quite good. And then in my second turn I didn't get any spells off. By turn 3 I tabled him. So, like, lovely man, like, great guy. Dan's wonderful to play Warhammer against. Just the army's just quite good against maybe legions specifically. I don't know how it's going to do against everything. We'll see. Like, because the Kadai, it's just the Kadai. They just don't die. Yeah, which I know it's in their name. Oh, Electric Eve is raiding us with a party of 6. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, what a nice lady. If you guys don't know who she is, because she's wonderful, she's a commission painter and a Twitch painter of import and note. Other words,
she's a really good painter.
She's a really good painter. We've been raided by Beeftan, Jadfree. The Duking Tristan says, "Guys, it's the cops! Run!" Electric Eve's group of raiders. I would be very careful because our mods are. I mean, I'm scared of our mods. One of them threatened to ban you earlier for being late.
Good.
Right. Soul4X, thank you very much for subscribing. And also, hi, you wonderful lady. I hope you're well. I saw Laura today. She's great. I saw Laura today. And she was nice. Yeah, we had a cuddle. And then I was asking her about the battle tome with the hippos in. She said, it's been delayed by 2 years. I was like, why? Oh, am I going to see you at Adepticon? She's going to be at Adepticon. All right, nice.
Is she?
Yeah, also, cool. King Tristan just banned her from the chat. We'll see you at Adepticon. We'll say hi. We'll get a selfie. Or if you want to do, if you're listening still, she might have already gone. If you want to do an interview, we should do an interview with her. Just be like, you're cool. That should be all of our interviews at Adepticon. You're cool. And they'll be like, yeah, like, tell us why you're cool. And then we'll just stop. Is there anyone you're excited about meeting at Adepticon?
Yeah, loads of people. Everybody. All my opponents. No. Alright. Yeah. I want to meet all the people that you see on Twitter that I having their voices heard. The podcast dudes like Raelian and Mr. Whitetech.
Doesn't have a podcast, does he?
No, but he's on Twitter.
He's on Twitter, so he's a Twitter dude.
Yeah, he's one of the Twitter dudes.
Are you going to make a list? Twitter dudes and podcast dudes?
I'm not going to make a list.
You're not going to make a list?
No, or take any photographs.
Okay, alright, fine. So, yeah.
And go and hang out with Warboss Timmy, even though he's from the UK of A.
Yeah, UK of A, yeah. I think I've seen that Pano's going.
Yeah, that'd be cool to see him again.
Yeah, I've seen him in ages.
The States. Mitzi will be there. I want to see Mitzi and his cool army. But yeah, no, all the...
Yeah, Mitzi's army looks so good.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to just walk around hobnobbing with the celebrities.
No. Just everybody.
Guys. Yeah, I just want to see the normal dudes.
I want to meet my my doubles partner.
I would like to meet your doubles partner. Yeah, I actually I think I've got lined up that I might get to meet Haywo Twitch. If I have a little bit of a fanboy moment for myself there, I'm quite excited.
Cool.
I'm going to get him to sign my t-shirt or something. I mean, not my t-shirt, obviously, because my t-shirt will always be black. Yeah. So there's no way you can sign it. Unless you can use white paint.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't wear it.
Do you want to see a really interesting picture I've got on my phone that no one else can see?
Okay.
Yeah, this is great TV. Yeah, don't worry. I've done this for a living for an international company, so I know for a fact that this is good TV.
Yeah.
So check this out. Here, right, is a picture of a rack of Games Workshop paints.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
In an independent gaming stockist.
Yeah.
Here is a rather famous Games Workshop painter picking paints from a different part of the store.
Okay, yeah. I've seen that guy before somewhere.
And I just think that that's a great picture. I mean, that's from Warlord Games. He's purchasing those items.
Cool.
Yeah, but he literally has his back on the Games Workshop paints. Yeah, but he's only wearing one thin coat in that picture, so he's not. I'm sure he's fine with the heat and the pressure of that situation. But that made me laugh today. If you're interested. You're late, you've thrown me off, so I don't know what I'm talking about today.
I don't know what you're talking
about. Anyway, right, so actual news, yeah. So I'm going to drop a Demon Smith on my list. I'm going to paint 10 more Fireglyphs and take 8 Fireglyphs. That's my thing. And Thermal Rider Cloak, this guy, is he a good tactical choice to use? Painters who've come from the other channel. This is a Chaos Dwarf Demon Smith on a disc of Zinch on some milliput magma with wings from Kairos. Yeah. Is he a good tactical choice? Fuck no. At all.
Why not? You just said he beat up 2 Morkai, whatever the hell they are.
Morgath Harbingers.
Yeah, them guys.
Yeah, he did.
So he sounds like he's a beast.
Well, because I've given him the command trait, so he's grotesque. Basically, they couldn't hurt him. So he just stood in cover and wasn't hurt, and then the Fireglaive shot him to death. But apart from that, no, he's rubbish.
So he's a bit of a tarpet then?
I guess so, but not really. He's only got 5 wounds. He is pretty, though.
Well, no, he's not pretty.
Fuck you. He looks great. Looks like Peachy is getting his solo debut soon. And then more Mocha Archive. Is that what you put? Can you paint Mocha Archive?
Motor Archive.
Motor Archive. And also Speckles is wondering why he keeps being banned, and then everyone's saying he deserves it because he is the worst Warhammer player of all time. Right, so actual news this weekend in Australia. Look at you just did a serious face. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. Also, final shout out, if you are going to Adepticon and we're going to get to see you there, it'd be cool just to say hi. Like, if you can introduce you if you watch us on Twitch or your Twitter pals, introducing us via those is much easier than hi, my name's Jim.
And all the gits.
Yeah, and all the gits. Yeah, all those guys.
There's going to be loads of gits.
Yes, absolutely. So the South Australian Grand Tournament was in Adelaide, South Australia. 50 players fighting is what happened. And in first place over in Australia was the legendary at this stage. If I was to say to you that he was the Rat King, who would you think I would be talking about? The Australian Rat King.
The Australian Rat King?
Yeah. Mr. Dan Brewer.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Mr. Gotcha. Dan Brewer took
yes,
again, showing that Skaven actually have won. There's also a fantastic picture of Gemma and the Failed Charge Boys giving him a shit face in the picture on AOS Shorts website. If you get the opportunity to go on there right now, go on it and look at it. And, as he's accepting his award in the background, all the Failed Charge guys are just like, fucking prick. Just what a twat. Maybe that's their resting faces, though. In second place, Mick won with Flesh Eater Courts, and Sam Morgan with Mixed Order. I think this was last weekend, actually. I can't remember. That's fine. Anyway, then this weekend at Warhammer World.
Yeah.
Games Workshop Warhammer World. There was loads of really crappy terrain. But then after that, the wonderful Mr. WS10, Nick Thompson.
Yeah.
Won the Throne of Skulls, and I happened to go in that weekend because I was hanging out with some Aussies. Oh, Diadrin, thanks for the 15 bits donation.
Cool.
And we had a little selfie. And as the former Throne of Skulls champion, I got to pass on the red jersey of the red flannel to the current and more deserving Throne of Skulls champion. To be honest, I felt like a charlatan for an entire year. So Nick won, and then the wonderful Mr. Steve Dooley, the best. Darkling Covers player in the world, of all 3 Darkling Covenants players, what got best sports?
Have they had a competition? Have they had a Darkling Covenant GT?
The Darkling Covenants GT. Well, you need a spare player. It would be those 3 and 1 spare player.
I'll be it. I've played them a few times. They're quite
You
good.
have. We played Darkling Covenants. Yeah. They were quite fun. Bob Monkey Cheese, what are you saying in a little private chat? Oh, nice. Bob Monkey Cheese has got over 100 subscribers on his YouTube channel. And if you want to join him, please go over to Bob Monkey Cheese's YouTube channel. I imagine it's called Bob Monkey Cheese.
Cool.
I would subscribe to the channel just based on the fact.
Well, it's got such a cool name.
Pardon me?
Oh, it's got such a cool name.
Yeah, really nice. If he was a real narrative army, he'd be coming to the narrative event in Australia, says Dan Hammer CG. Oh yes, that's also true, Isaac. So Dan Brewer is obviously actually one of our... We've Brexited Dan Brewer to Australia. So he's not actually...
He's a pom.
Yeah.
Pom diddly pom pom.
He's a pom diddly pom pom. And obviously...
Chum.
Yeah. And he can't play properly, Warhammer properly over in Australia, because it's one of those he's told me that they're all a bunch of cooks. I don't know what that means, but they said that to me yesterday. So I don't know. You tell me what that means.
No idea.
No idea. Good. All right. We always deported him. Like, actually, he says Dan unsupervised. I imagine Dan will be giving him a chat at some point. Alex attempts tabletop. Thank you very much. So and Nick won with Skaven and with the Vortex. He won Throne of Skulls with. So not only did and Throne of Skulls is based heavily on best army votes and also best sports votes more than the GTs are. Yeah. So the fact that he took that away is obviously excellent, and it was just a
he tabled all the opponents as well. Yeah, got 10,000 kill points.
Yeah, 10,000 kill points, and then won the kind of sporting tournament by kicking everyone's ass. Which is a testament to just what
I think he got 4 favourite game votes out of 5, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, only whipped by Steve Dooley, another member of his gaming group.
Who got 5? There are a couple that got 5, I think.
Yeah. They're just and that's all the WS10 boys, who are leading the English community, in my opinion, as a gaming group. Like they're all out there. They play fair. They work really hard. Like they're just great fun to be around. Even Nige, and I think Nige at his very best, you would describe him as grumpy. Yeah. Would you not?
I don't know. I'd give a Nige a favourite game vote.
I fucking love Nige. Yeah. I would play Warhammer against Nige for the rest of time. Yeah, he's wonderful. He also was banging on to me because he ran Ogres and Gargants, which I know you'd be proud about.
Yeah.
But he was talking to me about the fact that he wanted to run another Bone Grinder Gargant, and he was there just like, oh, what if I took 2 Bone Grinder Gargants? And I was like, it'd be twice as shit. And he was like,
no, you're wrong. Really.
And then he was, and also El Capitan WS10 says I got 5 too, so have that, Nick.
Yeah.
So what's funny is Nick won the tournament, but a bunch of his gaming, like very close friends and also gaming groups, also got 5 best sports votes. So WS10 as a group collected a lot of favourite game votes.
Yeah.
But they are quite rich, so
there you go.
They probably bought them all.
Yeah.
Is what is the insinuation? That's the joke. Like, because I don't think they did actually. But that's the gag.
I'm glad you explained it.
It's not funny unless you explain the joke, right?
No.
Mamdear, thank you for subscribing for 40 months. And he asks for the description. Is Nathan wearing pants? Please tell me he is wearing pants. He is.
Yes, I am.
It's confirmed. Jet, how you doing? What's she saying? All right. Oh my god. That's good. Don't worry. You can all use your jet emojis in the chat if you want to. So 2 other bits of news. So that's gaming news.
Yeah.
If you're excited about that. The other piece of news. Oh, big yawn, buddy. The other pieces of gaming news are that there was a community article released by Games Workshop about who goes first.
Yeah. That was good.
Who goes first?
Yeah.
So Nathan, we're going to play, a game I've just invented in my head,
okay.
and I'm talking now to stall for time. Who goes first? Yeah.
Whose turn is it?
Yes. Yeah. So I will post you a series of, and if the Twitch chat could help me out here because I really am like treading water, fishing for time here. Who goes first? A plague bearer. Yeah. Or no, a unit of plague bearers. Even better. Or a Moonclan Grot unit.
Moonclan Grot.
Moonclan Grot unit. Why?
Initiative 10.
Initiative 10. All right. Matty also says, I really enjoyed the scores. Went 3-2 in my first event with them, and I was so happy. I'm really happy for you, Matty. Yeah, you superstar. Like, Throne of Skulls is an amazing event and totally worth going to, because it's like a lot of people's introduction to playing Warhammer. I just saw Andy Hughes there with his super optimized GT tournament, Legion of the Gash Army, just being a babe. But Andy Hughes is great to play Warhammer against, that's fine. And it'll come, Jet 7 out of 5. Everyone's just talking about Jet. What's the command for Jet emoji? Please help. You just use the Jet emoji. Just click it. Jet. Right, Nathan. Next turn. Who goes first? A unit of Idoneth Deepkin on turn 2 without the tides flipped.
Yeah.
Or a Grissagor general who's had Itchy Nuisance put on him.
Idoneth Deepkin, because they're elves and they have always strikes first.
Okay.
It's ASF.
It's ASF. Okay, what about this situation? What about a unit of Loon Smasher fanatics who've had Soul Cage put on them?
What the fuck is Soul Cage? Oh.
Great question.
Gotcha.
Who've had Soul Cage put on them versus a unit of Mimrodon Banshees who have rolled a 10 charge. Who goes first?
Goes first where?
Exactly. Great question. Yeah. We were absolutely...
I think the fanatics will go first to the grave.
to the grave. The 10 charge is in the charge phase. Well done, Elmbirds. There you go. The people in the chat like, I'm playing this fucking seriously, and I'm getting Elmbirds. You get 10 points. Well done. You could use those in.
Soul Cage makes you always strike last as well.
It makes you strike at the end of the phase.
Yeah. So the Banshees will fight in the charge phase, and then in their normal activation in the fight phase, and then the fanatics will fight last. In fact, they won't fight at all, because they're not allowed to fight, because their war scroll makes them fight at the beginning, and so they can't fight at all.
There you go. So some...
it depends on the wording on the Soul Cage, because that might override that, and they might still be allowed to fight at the end if there's any of them left.
But it's complex, right?
Not really. Just read the words.
What's nice is there's an article and they cleared it up. I like it. So the sequence there's 3 types of there are now 3 sub-phases in the combat phase. You have the start, the during, and the end, which is fun.
No, it's just like a story.
It is just like a story. That's so correct. And looking at the new core book, obviously there's ways to make units, like more than one unit, in fact, strike continuously, a bit like smashing and bashing that you have with Iron Jaws, again and again. So like that's going to become not more complicated, but like it's a good article to read, and I'm glad that they put it out, and it does make some more sense. It came along with a small errata as well, specifically to Idoneth Deepkin's ability for the Tide and Soul Cage. So well done well done to Games Workshop there to clarify a little bit. Although I would argue that I'm not hugely a fan of anything that I don't like. This is just a personal opinion. I'm going to play with it. I'm just not a big fan of like the new I'm just going to strike before you strike. It's a lot like that happens a lot in 40k, although there's very little combat in 40k because everyone's just shooting each other like it's fucking World War One. Not a lot of charges.
What about bayonet charges in World War One?
I mean,
there were loads of them.
There were loads of them, but then there were a lot of motherfuckers shot
they all died
on the way.
They didn't stab anybody.
I think there was several cavalry charges as well. And Rograx, you're right. Shannon Spears would like to have a word, I've always liked the mechanic of lining your units up and doing the charges to decide the activations. And now, like you'd buff up your defensive unit to hold a unit, and now it's just like all these units are going to strike first, and whatever, your choice. So it's just a bit. But I do like the fact that I can make it so the Gristle General can't even attack me if I just pile in afterwards. I'm like, haha, dickhead. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Shoot off the table, then they can't strike first. I agree, Spooner. We both agree.
Just cast your vortex at them and you'll be fine.
Why? Doesn't stop them fighting.
Stops them flying and getting over to you. Then you can shoot them.
Doesn't slow their movement though.
He can't run.
They can move.
Oh, but he can't run then. And then you can just shoot him. Can't run and fly.
I love it. It's going to be great. So yeah, that's cool. So that was a nice piece. That was a nice thing that they did. I think. You guys, did you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you happy with that?
Yeah.
Do you think it was needed?
Probably, yeah.
And do you think they did a good job doing it? Twitch chat, what do you think? I would love your guys' thoughts.
It's all pretty good. I think there were a few whinges about it, but in general, I think it's good.
What are the whinges? What?
I can't remember. There was somewhere on Facebook people started asking 1 billion questions about it and getting confused.
No way. I thought it would just be like absolutely like just everyone just like cool, yeah, cheers. Just thumb emojis.
I just saw some
no comments.
reactions, and then I was just like, maybe I should have taken a photo, but I couldn't.
Pabine says we used to have a Patu Maori Edge club made from jade that my great grandfather used to kill Nazis in the war. It was awesome, but got stolen. Thank you very much for that story, Pabine. The great stuff, says Bill Robertson. Elmer says clarification is good, but an arms race of first striking is probably not something I'll look forward to. Yes, that's how I feel about the game. I like, and there's more of it in the Khorne book. I can't really be arsed with it if I'm honest, because like
probably all the new books are going to have an opportunity to either strike first or else make people strike last.
Yes, but then in that particular situation, then isn't it just like, well, why don't you just go like, why don't we all just go back to just a charge? What I get to choose one of them first, and that's the end of that conversation. Why don't we go back to that day?
Because you're just looking backwards all
that's
the time.
True.
You're right, hillbilly.
You're right. It's not very innovative. I should have thought about it. I apologise. I'm so sorry.
I think, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's another layer of rules, so
okay,
it makes the game more complex. So some people will enjoy it and some people won't. Think back fondly of the days when there were only a couple of pages of rules.
Oh my god, 4 pages, dickhead. That's the rules.
4 pages.
4 pages, dickhead. Oh.
We didn't need points. We just had a good time.
We always used points. We played 2 games without points.
They were the best games.
There was and then we played loads of games with made up points by us.
I played loads of other games without points.
Who did you play without points?
I played against Steve Foot without points.
Yeah, we played when we played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
It took the entire fucking day.
Yeah, it was a good day.
It was a good day. Yeah, it was a great time. Yeah, I had a really great time. I won't lie. I had a really good time. But sometimes I thought, this is a bit pointless. I'm going. I feel so ill. Did I tell you I feel really ill?
You said you had a sore finger or something.
No, kidneys.
Oh, same sort of thing.
What? How would I have hurt my finger? Putting up my bum? You're an idiot.
Well, you said you were feeling your kidneys. The only way you can feel them is up your bum.
No, you can't reach your kid. We're not getting into this. I apologise, YouTube and Twitch. Right. So they did that news. That's cool. And obviously this weekend the Khorne Battletome was released. And then people have got their grubby mitts on it. There have been reviews plenty so far. This isn't going to be an in-depth review because, as we discussed, we're not going to be here for very long because we've got to get ready for Adepticon. That's fine. Did you read anything about it?
No.
Okay, good.
No, I've listened. I've listened.
Do you think maybe you should maybe start reading stuff before we do shows on a Monday? I'm just asking for the fans.
Look.
Yeah.
I've no time for reading. I've been making my hands dirty.
What, working?
Something like that.
So you've read nothing?
No.
Have you heard anything?
Did you read? Yeah, I've heard a few bits and bobs.
Okay. Should we not go off hearsay?
No, well, they've read the War Scrolls out, so I've heard War Scrolls.
Oh wait,
I've
someone
not
just read
them.
the War Scrolls out.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
that's great.
So
What have you read? Much?
So yes, I've read most of it, right?
Cool.
So I'm going to give you like a holistic top-down review, which is going to have a couple of conversations, because I had a really great in-depth chat with some Aussies yesterday, and I'm just being a bellend now by not remembering. So Brogan, I had a chat with Brogan and his two friends, and oh fuck, one of them maybe is called Jordan. I just sound like a twat, don't I, by not remembering, but this isn't meant to be rude. I don't remember anyone's name. Anyway, those two guys were fucking wicked, fun, and I had a great time with them.
Cool.
But we had this really big long chat about game design, right? And then that got me thinking about reading this battle tome today. And so I wanted to do a kind of a top-down review. I don't really know what that's going to sound like till we do it, so here we go. Yeah, a couple of points, good and bad. So there's obviously the All Strikes First stuff. That's cool. That's useful. Oh, Dan Supervise, thanks for subscribing as well. One more month and we could have had a baby. Oh, he would have been so short and blonde if I'd have had a baby with you. That's why I wouldn't have one, because he's short and blonde. That's my joke.
Well, doesn't your DNA contribute if you're making a baby?
No, because only one of us can be the sperm donor, and mine's full of AIDS. Right. Okay. So, so number one, they've got the mechanic where you can choose which tribe you're from. Yeah. So you can either be like the Reapers of Vengeance, or the Bloodlords, or the Gortide, or Skullfiend tribe. What did you think about that?
It's interesting that some books get that sort of thing and others don't.
Yes, I would agree with that. It does seem to fit.
Because it gives you. It does come with quite a few abilities. Which are free, really, aren't they? Free abilities, so
they are free. Yeah.
It's curious that some books are given these free abilities or the chance to use free abilities, and others aren't. It's not fair.
Oh, baby. Well, one of the things I would say is that what I find quite interesting is that it feels like what's happened is War Scroll battalions of old, where they would do quite a lot, have been split up. So the War Scroll battalions in the Blades of Khorne book are quite watered down, realistically. They don't do very much.
I thought I heard some of the battalions, I thought they were really good for their points.
For their points, yes, but in comparison to if we take things like the Dreadwood as an example, being the kind of zenith of a War Scroll battalion inside a War Scroll battalion that costs quite 340 points maybe of points being spent on just battalions, with quite a lot of restrictions, but it does give you access to some game changing mechanics. So whereas these, it feels like the War Scroll battalions have very minor effects.
Yeah, they give you a nice ability.
Yeah, and for very cheap. So the cheap part's great, because really you're getting a command point, which we already know is worth 50 points, and an artifact, which let's call that 50 points. So if War Scroll battalion is anything below 100 points, it's just value at that stage, right? And it's probably worth taking. And then they've taken half of it and they've put them into the kind of the tribe element of it, or witch temples from Daughters of Cain. Yeah, is a simple, or the
barracks,
or the what is the Adepticon one? They have enclaves. It's a tough word, isn't it? So yeah, they have enclaves, which I quite like that. I like the narrative element of it. I'm in the Skullfiend tribe, that's cool, and I've always liked the War Scroll battalions, because it feels because that's the first thing I normally read. Yeah. I go to them and I read it for building an army, but they've been separated out a bit, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Why don't they pay points for those things though?
For the tribal parts. Yeah. Now, we talked about this before, didn't we? The issue with the enclaves or the barracks or the tribal thing is that realistically they're the same cost, which is free, but their effect is some of them are just better than others. Yeah. They're not all created equal, but the cost is the same. Why don't they pay points for it? I don't know. I think they should, personally. Yeah. But they don't have. Do they have much in the way of allegiance ability? So you've got the summoning, and you've also got blood tithe points. Would you say that that's enough of allegiance ability that they shouldn't have the tribe thing tacked on as well?
Summoning is definitely enough. An allegiance ability, never mind the other stuff. Yes, the blood tithe point thing is great. That's a great allegiance ability. And they've also got the reroll ones to hit for demons within a certain range of a demon hero and stuff like that.
Yeah, or a great demon, yeah.
So that's great.
Yes.
They've got great allegiance ability.
Do you think it compared to the tides from Idneth? But then they also get enclaves on top, right?
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, that's the Blades of Khorne. The Khorne stuff is easily as good as the tides thing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. All right. Cool. I like hearing your opinion. I think the cost is the same, but they're not treated as equal, right? Because some of them are just better than others. So yes, I would say that they are very, very strong in my opinion. Because the Gits don't get that, right?
No, neither do Skaven, I don't think.
They do. Well, they get like different like allegiance abilities based on what's in the army, right?
Yeah.
And some of them are pretty great. But you're right; they don't have any like.
They don't have any tribe extra abilities that they can pick and choose to tailor an army. Like if I want a shooting army, then I'll take this sort of clan, whatever.
Yeah. They don't have that.
No.
So you mean it's inconsistent from a design perspective, right?
Yeah.
Which is fair, but I do quite like the idea that there are I like that there are the story element of it. So cool. So we've talked about that part. I think that's quite interesting. I also think that the War Scroll Battalions being cheap is good because it means you get access to an artifact and also a command point. So that's good for Khorne players. From a game design's perspective, some of them again they do so little that maybe it's not worth it. In my opinion.
Yeah, some of them obviously. Some of them are really good.
Yes. They're all very cheap, but some of them do.
Like I know there's one that gives you reroll ones to wound if you're within range of one of the heroes or something, and that's really. Yeah, so now they've got the reroll ones to hit and then the reroll ones to wound. Makes them super good.
Yes, agreed. But I'm going to get to that because I actually think I don't think they're very good.
Oh, I think they could.
Good. Let's have a row about that in a minute. Let's also quickly talk about the book layout one more time. Why the fuck do I have to cycle through the Path to Glory section?
Because it's the best book.
No, I'm going to say this every single time. Name me one Path to Glory thing from any of the books off the top of your head, and I will listen to you.
I can't, because I can't find anybody else with
no one else would.
The joy de vivre to play the thing.
So this is a Honest Wargamer shout out for Nathan Prescott.
I want to play Path to Glory.
Nathan wants to play Path to Glory. If there's anyone near or around Nottingham who would be willing, or even anywhere else in the world that would be willing to travel to play Path to Glory stories with Nathan, we will film it. It'll be a whole thing.
Hopefully there's a guy coming down from Liverpool to play some open war games. He's got 50 brutes. It's great.
Open war?
Yeah.
Open war?
Yeah.
Okay, so what? No points at all? You just put anything down, no rules allowed?
That's it. Well, yeah, we use some rules, but...
What rules are you going to use?
The rules on the War Scrolls.
What about allegiance abilities?
Can you use those as well, yeah.
Realm abilities?
Yeah, let's use all of those. What about it's fuck. Zaysak says so.
Everyone in the chat. So that would be reflex, dog training, painting. Says, oh my god, yes. Zaysak, Speckles, Bob Monkey's Wargaming Dad. I would play, but I'm in Cornwall. Biological Hippo says, good blood-soaked evening to everyone. And then Lee Bromley says, I play Path to Glory every week, but less of Lee Bromley's sex life and more of the Blades of Khorne Battletech. So ill. Right, okay. So the War Scroll Battalions, they don't do a lot. And you see that as quite good. That's quite nice because it's a way of reducing reducing your drops. Great, and as we've stated before, the access to command points and artifacts. I think that's quite good if you're a Blades of Khorne player. So if I was, what would you prefer? This is a question to the Twitch chat and to you, Nath. Which would you prefer? Would you prefer a battle tome that gave you access to one-drop armies? Oh, Tony Baycule, thanks for subscribing. Would you want access to battle tomes that give you one-drop armies, or access to battle tome that has these mini War Scroll battalions and kind of clan setup? And why?
I think I like the mini one.
Why?
Just nice and flexible, not all just lumping everybody into one big lump. But then saying that, I do like the Grudge-bound Warthog. That's a one army drop.
That's a one army drop.
Except for the helicopters.
So it sounds like you haven't made a decision today.
No, fuck you.
To make a decision. Come on, help me out.
I like the little one. I like the sound of the little one.
You like the sound of the little one?
The little one.
Little ones.
So,
Why? Like why? Like what's your reasoning?
Said just a little bit of flexibility, and yeah, it doesn't. It makes it a bit more. Adds flavour, but it doesn't dominate the whole list writing. Because then, if you take like the big one, then you're almost forced into this is the list.
Into a build. Yeah, it makes armies more polarised, right?
Yeah. Whereas you can just take like the little one and then just change the flavour using different support pieces.
Right, that's fair. That's fair. The chat says.
What do you say?
Let me see what the chat says, and I'll say what I say. One drops because I only ever played Sylvaneth, says OJ, and I don't want to be handicapped. Dad Hammer CG says I want more free city rules. Mixed order has much more narrative potential. Lukewarm says mini battalions for more choice over units rather than prescribed list. Elmbo says my opinion, I hope they dial down the one drop armies as well, because the whole one drop thing. Oh, Deepkin Seb, thanks for stalking us. My opinion, I hope the whole the whole one drop thing, it was also a bit of an arms race now on how it developed, which could be fair because some of them, again, they were possibly even stronger, right? And then Age of Nagashi I met last weekend, who has a YouTube channel. I haven't checked it out yet, but go and check out Age of Nagashi's YouTube channel. Very nice man, very polite, real sweet. Met him yesterday. So go check out his YouTube channel, because I imagine it's just as polite and sweet as that young lovely man. And also fantastic. Thanks for subscribing for 3 months in a row. Cool. He says, was good to meet you yesterday, Rob. It's now just dawning on me how big this Khorne dragon is, because he bought a Khorne dragon.
Oh, wow.
I got to build and paint. Maybe I should have started with a smaller model for my first Forge World model. Any advice for building Forge World for the first time? Yeah, no problem, man. Loads of super glue.
Wash it.
Wash it. No, don't wash it. Nope.
Wash it.
Nope, don't wash it.
Definitely wash it.
Disagree. What you do, just build it and then spray it with varnish.
After you've washed it.
Before you've washed it, yeah. Just do that, and then then you put your primer on, whatever primer you put on it. That is coming straight from the guys that do all the that comes from Karchi. The guys that do the Warhammer World displays.
Yeah.
Because obviously they've got fucking tons of Forge World stuff. But they don't. He says that they never wash it. So what they do is they put it all together, and then they just fucking varnish it, and then they just spray it. They laminate. They do the undercoat over the top of that. Do you disagree?
Yes.
Okay.
Wash it.
All right. Biological Hippo says mini battalions are good for new players, can integrate battalions into smaller games, which I agree with. Grogu says mini battalions cause items of fun. Yeah, I would also agree with you. I think that the mini ones are better. I like it when you get to the stage when they're all condensed to the point where I think we haven't seen many, if any, books have access to, even like the Gloomspite Kits book doesn't have access to lots of them. Fleshy Courts doesn't really have access to like one drop armies, really. They've got a 2-drop.
Yeah, there's a couple of 1-drop armies in the Gloomspite. There's the Squig one and the Scrap. You could make a 1-drop, I guess. Or probably 2, but no. Yeah, there's not many.
Also from Banana Man Timmy, big shout out. I think that's Warboss Timmy who's going to see at the weekend. It's wash always, take it from a master mold maker. That would be him.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't handling the stuff once painted.
Yeah, that's from Yes Miniatures.
Oh, so was I given crook advice? Wow. Okay, so don't listen to me then. Dad Hammer CG with his Scorch Privateer says I'd like a different battalion to the only one I have. I feel you, brother. I feel you. So I think mini battalions are better. And from a game design perspective, if we took all of the 1-drop armies out of the game, although I do like what Sylvaneth add to the game, if we took them all out, how would the game look? That would look quite good. You'd have very few armies that would have the capacity to 1-drop. So that conversation that you have with each other about how many drops you have, and the kind of global average maybe like 3 or 4 when it comes to drops, and then you might affect your list to some degree to just be like, oh, I'd like to be more around the 3 area as opposed to the 4.
I think the average might be a bit higher than 3 or 4.
Drops.
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, reflex dog training painting. Thanks very much for the 100
How many
donation.
drops is in your army?
My Chaos Dwarf army. 2 Demon Smiths. The Corruptor, the Mask of Slanesh, that's 4. A unit of 35 glaives, a unit of 20, a unit of 10, another unit of 10, another unit of 10. Could die. So 10 drops. A 10 drop army.
I think my Gloomspike army is about 12. How many drops was the Nagash army?
10 as well. 10. We rolled off at the start of every round. He won every time. He got to choose who goes first.
I think the average is higher than 3 or 4 then.
You think the average is higher?
Just on that.
No, sorry. What I more meant was... No, yeah, I think currently what I meant was is if every army had a book where they had multiple small battalions, like we've seen in the Blades of Khorne book, then I think that would be a lot more interesting than an environment where, if we're taking all of Age of Sigmar, an environment where everyone had access to a 1-drop army. Because I think you're right. I think lists and army builds would be more polarised in a 1-drop environment. Whereas inside of a multi-drop, like this mini small battalions environment, it's a far more interesting game.
Yeah.
And then if everyone only had those armies, and also the clan thing. I mean, like we've said, like we saw with Ziflin from Character and Overlords, they were very popular and chosen a lot. Hammers of Sigmar, we get seen taken a lot by Stormcast as an example. Obviously, Hagnar Temple. Is it Futhwen? That we see a lot as the enclave from. Sometimes people only choose one of the clans, but sometimes they take different battalions, so it mixes it up a little bit. So I personally much prefer this from a game design perspective, and so I wanted to point out that I don't know whether or not Games Workshop have had those conversations, but I think it's really good.
Cool.
That's more of a top-down view. Instead of going, the Blood Hunt get to add 1 wound rolls of 1, just like actually. As a game, that's the review I'm trying to do.
Okay. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's good. And then to the little mini War Scroll Battalion. What's nice about them as well, because I have them in my Chaos Dwarves, I've got 3 little mini War Scroll Battalions.
Yeah.
A bit like these. They're all shit, and I never take them. It's cool. Once a month I go back to them to reread them, be like, what if? And then I read them and go, no, not worth it, not worth 100 points, not worth 40 points. In fact, I might not even take them if they were fucking free, because there's a tax where I have to take, a Castellan who sucks, right? So he's my, dwarf general.
Yeah.
But no, rubbish, so don't take it. So I like them. Good environment. Yeah, so we agree.
Yeah.
For once. Fuck. No problem, Agent Nagash. I'll bath the dragon, and also, you guys. It's good to get some advice from the guys in the Twitch chat. These guys are wonderful. Global says next time I arrange, I'm going to have people note minimum drops in their list submission. That would be cool if we could have a stat for minimum list submission. Like minimum drops.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
That would be really interesting, right? High first brain squeak. What have I missed? Nothing. You Throne of Skulls winning champion. Yeah, you little fucking sexy man. Yeah, he was so happy. Night Bob Monkey Cheese. Night Dydrin, average is 5 now, I think, says Dan have a CG. But I think he's just, I don't know if he's just making that up or guessing.
Making it up or guessing.
Yeah, making it up or guessing. Hi, Luvo. I saw him the other day. He's great.
What if he's collated all the stats and he's actually made an accurate calculation?
Relian is also joined the chat. Nathan, by the way, Relian said he was very excited to meet you. Yeah. I've already met Relian.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's I describe it as a 7 out of 10 experience. It's good, but
That'll make a nice change then.
Yeah, he's funnier on Twitter.
Who?
Relian.
I thought you were telling Relian I was funnier on Twitter.
whereas meeting me is a low 4, absolutely. Whereas meeting Nathan is a low 3. So War Scroll Battalions, we've covered that. Next up, I'm going to talk about monsters and movement. That's what I'm going to talk about. So let's talk about the Bloodthirsters, right? So cool, they're cool, right? Bloodthirster's cool. Everyone wants to rock a Bloodthirster, and we've seen that they've got some more wounds, which is nice.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't have a 3+ save. That's just my first thought.
It's because they're not wearing very much armor, are they?
Yeah, but they're big and fucking hard.
So,
But they've got, like, you'll see described in the narrative that they have wrought iron muscles, sinewy and leathery, yeah, and hide as thick as the bottom of a... Help me out.
you're telling us what was written down. Sounds like you're making it up.
Anyway, so the next part of the review is talking about the bloodthirsters themselves.
You want them to have a 3-up save.
So, most of the things that you would think about fighting inside the game or even shooting, there's a lot of rend, right? And where there isn't a lot of rend in the game, you tend to find there's like a lot of attacks. If we look at like a Daughters of Cain unit, like number one, they'll dish out a lot of attacks, but then they'll reroll to hit and reroll to wound, so they more consistently give you like a lot. If we look at the Gristlegore General, for instance, like his dumb amount of mortal wounds, it's really quite strong. But even if that's not, like the Ren 2 means that the Bloodthirster goes straight down to a 6+ save. I don't really know why they don't have a 3-up save, realistically.
Well, you want to be able to kill them, that's why.
But I don't think it's over. I don't think 14 wounds with a 3-up save is much of a challenge, especially when that rocks in at about. Actually, I don't know how much Bloodthirsters are. 300?
Yeah, 300 points.
What? They're just flat 300.
One of them was, yeah.
Okay.
So they're pretty cheap for what they do.
No, they're not. They're overcosted for what they do.
300 points for that, for what they can do.
Well, so here's my comparison, right? This is my point, right? And this is what I want to talk about. Monsters in Age of Sigmar. That's the next part of the review. Especially because Bloodthirsters are something that have been fairly iconic in the game, and I would always like to have seen more. And especially when someone gets into the game.
I think you'll see more of them now.
I think you'll see more of them now. They are better objectively. Are they good? No.
Yes.
Okay, but you. All right. Well, let's have this conversation then, right? So I don't know why they don't have a 3-up save, and my reason is because there's loads of rend, right? If we take a comparison of my 30 fire glaives that I have inside my army, they cost 300 points, so it's the same.
Yeah.
So it's 30 wounds, yeah, with a 4-up save, yeah.
Yeah, but they're undercosted, those little fuckers.
All right, okay. Well, let's take Grimgas Reapers, right?
Yeah.
All right. So 360 points for 30 wounds.
Yeah.
With a 4-up save that's unignorable, and they can heal wounds in.
Yeah.
Right. Games Workshop have never really understood that the monster is like a monster is just a unit with the same, like there's no strength and toughness value. It often doesn't make much sense to me, like why they attribute the points that they do. So a Frostheart Phoenix, right, who has got he's 280 points with 14 wounds, and he has a 5-up that can go down to a 1-up save, and then has a 4-up ignore. Yeah, he's tanky, right? But the Vermin Lords,
unless he's playing against Dispossessed who aren't casting any spells.
yeah, then he's weak as shit, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
or Khorne,
yeah,
that's
so
like stopping. That's not casting spells, or stopping his own side from casting spells as well.
Yeah.
Then he's screwed.
So Speckles makes a good point in as well. You got things like Arcan the Black, right?
Yeah.
So he's got 4-up save,
Yeah.
and I just 14 Fireglaves today, and they cost 10 points each effectively because I get a unit of 10 for 100 points. 14 of them shot him from alive to dead in one round of shooting.
Yeah.
Hadn't shot him at any other point, he just died.
Yeah.
Right? Statistically, maybe that's a little bit over the odds.
Yeah.
But he just dies to a wet breeze.
Yeah.
So
But a 3-up save wouldn't have really saved. I've got
I think so.
Maw Crusher.
So you've got
Maw
Crusher's got a 3-up save.
3-up save.
Right. Okay.
14 wounds.
But how many points do?
300 and odd.
Okay.
And dies just like that.
Yeah, he does die just like that, right?
Yeah.
But imagine how much worse it would be if he had a 4-up save.
About the same. He'd die. Can't die any faster than that.
Which is where we get on to the next part, and thank you for bringing up the Maw Crusher, where we bring up so I've never understood this when we look at monsters, which is why you tend to not see a lot of monsters on the board. You do tend to see a lot of character monsters. So you'll see, like, your Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons is a good example.
Yeah, or
Bloodthirsters, or Marathi. So they've got, like, a bunch of special artifacts. Or not
yeah, they've got
Bloodthirsters. Why did you make me say Bloodthirsters, you bellend? Right? Right? Thank you, Elmbirds. Ridden monsters. But you don't tend to see a lot of monsters, right? And it's because their survivability is really, really low, and constantly. And as the books come out, I think the environment that we're seeing at the minute is great, where we're seeing more War Scroll battalions. That's great.
Yeah.
Do we see that they're doing anything smart with monsters? I think the answer is no, personally. And even in this situation, monsters that are characters in this book, pretty.
They're great. They've got some nice abilities, and they absolutely hit like a truck. So you've got to give them a weakness.
So let's disagree about they hit like a truck as well.
Okay.
Right. So Durthu doesn't hit like a truck, does he?
But these Bloodthirsters do.
No, they don't. So the Bloodthirster of Unfettered Fury.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's 6 attacks, 3s, 2s, run 2, D3 damage.
3s rerolling 1s, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
basically,
so all of the attacks go through. All of the attacks go through for the 300 points that this costs. Yeah. We'll ignore it. You've hit with everything. You've wounded with everything. Ignoring all the minuses to hit in the game. Yeah. And ignoring saves that are 2-up, rerollable.
Nobody's got a 2-up rerollable.
Yeah. Stormcast do.
Where?
Yeah. Also, Blades of Khorne also do as well. So.
yeah.
Right. So.
Do they get reroll?
No, they get a 2. Well, you can have reroll 1s from a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. Would be away from Ocular Vision, right? And that we give them rerolls to hit 1s and rerolls to wound 1s.
Not allowed to have a Sorcerer.
You can have a Sorcerer in there if you want to. But my point is, so even if you hit with all of them, so we'll just take that all of the hitting out of the equation, your average, because it's D3 damage, is 12 damage. Which you're like, okay, that's fairly fine. Yeah. Ignoring it, and if it's against a 4-up save model like itself, yeah, it will save one of those, so it's not actually 12, it's 10. Yeah, and you're like, okay, so like one of these will go in and attack a Bloodthirster and then almost kill a Bloodthirster. And you think, okay, but it doesn't almost kill my unit of 35 glaives. Yeah, it kills 10, and I've got 20 more, and it activates again, right? And it kills 20 more, like 10 more, and then I'm like, oh, Battle Shock, where I spend a command point and then not run away. Yeah, it doesn't really. I mean, the Ghoul King on Terrorgeist, that motherfucker does his job. He's like, I am gonna murder what I fight, and I'm okay with that. I think it's too cheap for what it does, but I love that as a monster. A Bloodthirster.
Yeah, but what else has he got on his War Scroll? He's not just got those attacks, has he?
No, you're right. He's got so the Unfettered Fury guy is, if you roll like a 6 to it, like it basically does some more wounds and shit. But my point is, because this is true for all of them, right? The cool one is the Bloodthirster from Cecil Rage, where he drops his axe and then he does 4 mortal wounds for everything within 8 inches. I'm all about that, right? But generally, they suck. No, Jet. So Luvo says do those in one list, hit like a truck, and then increase their inconsistencies by paying for 2. And then Wes AD says the obligatory jet bomb hole incoming, then sent a jet emoji. Val Turnip has also subscribed. Not Val Turnip has put the cheeky little jet emoji in there, low. Dat ass. And Elmer says, I just want a tournament going 3-0 with my FEC, not even Gristle, and I'd like to have a word about poor monsters. And there's a winky face. So it would be great to see more monsters. So I don't think, what I'm basically saying about the Bloodthirsters and about this book as well, because we haven't even got to, again, the damaging part. I think we've talked about the good part. Formations go great. Well done.
You've not mentioned the best monster.
Which one?
El Guzzler Gargan.
Oh my god! Exactly. Right. But I don't think they do a lot of damage, and I don't think they're very survivable, especially when you compare them to units. Because the other thing that you have to consider, you have to think about the scenario. 30 bodies hold an objective better than 1 body of a monster.
Depending what scenario it is.
Well, it does depend on the scenario, whether or not you're playing the monster specific or the character one, right? These guys aren't even wizards in this example. No. Right? And again, looking at chimeras, or looking at Cygors, or looking at just Mangler Squigs that don't have a Loom Boss on, like, they're cool monsters, and I want to see more of them in the game. But they also get worse. They get worse as thanks very much for subscribing, Aurelian. They get worse as they get wounded. Yeah. So they're not even consistently that damage for 14 wounds.
But units get worse as they get wounded as well.
They do, but possibly like the output can get quite weak on a monster as it loses 10 wounds. Yeah. Whereas the output on like a unit of. I mean, 10 witch elves can still go through an entire fucking army. Like, they're good. They can do a lot. Yeah. And also, like, why do you care about taking 10 damage from Bloodthirster on a unit of 60 grots? You don't.
No, but I do if it's going into like Boingot Bounders or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so,
but it's also harder to maneuver a monster, right?
I would argue it's easier. It's just one base instead of 30 bases.
But a big
or 60 bases.
It depends on the monster, right? Like if it's got like the Maw Crusher's my example of difficult, right? Its base is almost fucking impossible to get places, right?
Sometimes, but it's still easier to get places than 60 grots sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. But you can string them out. You've got ball control, and again, eventually, you've got scoring objectives.
Yeah.
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 Right, but here we go. Here's the bit that really gets me. Movement 10, right, on the Bloodthirsters. Apart from Scarbrand, obviously, who's movement 8. Yeah. Now you can run and charge. Absolutely, you can reroll charges. Yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff to increase that speed, but you are paying extra points on top in some cases. Yeah, the natural rerolling charges is basically pretty much like obligatory through this book, as an example. And you can also spend a command point as well. But movement 10 is really quite slow in this game nowadays, I would say. So obviously, as a dwarf player.
It is obviously after you've put the mask near him and cast a vortex and some shackles. Yeah, it is quite slow.
It is quite slow, right? But my point is like in the age of like Vermin Lords teleporting through Norholes, Deep Striking Stormcast, Hand of Gork Grots, what else is out? Gristlegore, not Gristlegore, Blister King can run in charge. Pretty certain.
Yeah, they get a free move, don't they? Or something like
so they're really fast. And then we go to Zangor in the Beast of Chaos book, going like 20. A Centaur. We were talking about Centaur last night. They go like 26 inches. I was at a pub last night with a man, and I told him Nurgle's one of the fastest armies in the game, and he went, "What madness has gone to Gage of Sigmar?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're fast as shit. Like way faster." Movement 10 is relatively slow in the game when. As we've talked about, placement can be fairly hard with the monster, and the monster has
buff the Bloodthirster movement. All of those other things also require a buff or something, an ability. So
some do, some don't.
Like which ones don't?
Well,
they all require an ability or a buff. They don't just happen.
Or enlightened.
So their movement
16.
So they're 6 inches faster. But they're the fastest thing, aren't they?
They're the fastest thing pre-buff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, whereas, and the Bloodthirster's movement 10. So, that's pretty quick, really.
Yeah. Okay.
Without the buffs, but then once you put the buffs on him, he could be movement 24.
Who?
The Bloodthirster.
Yes, potentially, right? But we're talking, so again, you're spending points, and sometimes, I give you a good example from Forge or Skarak. His command ability is allow monsters wholly within 12 to reroll charges, right? It's a really shit command ability. It's really poor. And there's a really cool thing where Korgroths get to reroll to hit into wound, and I was like, yes, this is really cool. And I thought he was a giant Korgroth, and he's not. He doesn't have the Korgroth keyword, so sad face. And Elmbird says I could combo my flayers for a 72-inch charge potential, assuming the perfect storm, right? So the game is fast, is my point.
Yeah, at the moment it's really fast.
So the game is really, really fast. So I'm hoping to change that at Adepticon, right? And very, very killy. And these guys aren't very survivable in that killy environment, in my opinion. And they're also not fast enough in that environment, because placing them in the right place, because these guys don't necessarily do vast amounts of damage. They need to hit the targets. They're not killing 60 grots, they are killing the bounders. So they have to go get the bounders. And the grots have got the board control. I just don't think Games Workshop have got monsters yet. That's meant to be the conclusion at that point. Having read it, I was just like why?
Well, if monsters were better than units of 60 grots, then you wouldn't see units of 60 grots.
Well, you can only have 4 monsters.
Yeah.
Right? Ignoring Fleshy Corpse, right? So, there's always, a hard limit. And also, they're expensive, right? So if I took 4, bloodthirsters, right?
Yeah.
Like it's 1,200 points, right? But do I think that that's as good as 1,200 points of gross? No way. Not in a million years. Those 1,200 points of grots would kill the 1,200 points of bloodthirsters, and also hold objectives way better in almost all the scenarios, apart from, as pointed out, anything that requires a hero or monster. Yeah. But then you can just drop in your man. That's my point. And do I really want to see 4 monsters in every list? That's not what I'm arguing for. I just don't think I get not upset, but I just kind of get disappointed because I'd like to see a Scarbrand on the table. I
think you will now.
I think you might see some. Yeah, but I just don't think that. And also, like Speckles pointed out, the Khorne Dragon is epic, but just can't win games. A good example of a monster which they've never been able to do is the Dreadsaurian. It's always sucked.
Yeah, the Forge World ones. I don't think the Forge World guys quite get the rules right on the monsters.
So do you want to just take the entire Forge World conversation and put that in a separate box?
Yeah.
It's
just they are in a different box. Those guys.
Okay.
I mean, the same with Skarak and all of that.
Yeah, terrible. Just terrible. A terrible rule. And also just getting nerfs for no particular reason. Points being crazy good. As far as I understand it, though, the Citadel rules writers. This is just as I understand it, though. The Citadel rule writers now do the rules since AOS 2 came out for the Forge World stuff.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. I mean, the only rules they've ever got right were the first rule set that they did for the Squig Goer, which was great.
J Boom says monsters should count their remaining wounds for controlling objectives. That would be cool. I don't disagree with that. Elmer says, question, is Massive Regiment partly to blame for the points efficiency between different hordes of monsters? Again, I don't know if the regiment bonus thing is such a great thing, personally. So this is where I think I disagree to an extent. I don't think the movement that's been given out. So again, we're kind of talking about, we're using the Blades of Khorne book to do a kind of a design overview conversation. Maybe you're right. Maybe people don't want to. And also, there's a conversation about you got to push a lot of models. Takes more time. It'd be quite cool just having like 12 monsters go beat up another 12 monsters. That could be fun.
Well, just play skirmish then.
but I'll ignore that. But my point is,
if you like a few models, just play skirmish.
But I think it's good, and it probably there is. Maybe let's touch on the negatives. I do think it slows the game down having so many models on the board. But realistically, there's meant to be a balance, right? Yeah. If you take something like a Stormcast army, the problem with a Stormcast army for winning games is don't have a lot of models on the board.
They're way too shiny.
Yeah, they're also too fucking shiny. Yeah, and everyone who plays them is an accountant or like a fucking. What's wrong? I like accountants.
Why do you have to be so racist?
No, I like accountants. Just saying.
No, but I mean, at the moment, I think. Okay, so at the moment you see quite a few Horde armies, but it's nice to see a balance, isn't it? Where you see monsters armies, which we're seeing now with Flesh Eater Courts, and I think we'll see it with the Khorne armies as well, and you see it with some of the Gloomspite armies.
Okay.
Loads of squigs and stuff like that, and then you get more elite armies like the Stormcast.
But there's a counterpoint when you write a list. Yeah,
it's nice to see a variety of armies. Definitely.
I agree with that massively. And some armies, like the Stormcast, they don't have the option to have a lot of models on the board.
Yeah.
So they're stymied in securing objectives often because they're like, okay, but they're good, right? They're like fucking. I've got 12 Kadai. They're 480 points. If I see 10 Sequitors, I'll never go through them in a month of Sundays. Yeah, just like, it just absolutely be terrible. But like that. No, that's a bad analogy. I'll ignore that one completely. Anyway, they'll never go through that unit any point, so I have to do mortal wounds instead, right? So that unit poses a problem for me. But you could just put 60 grots outside of them, yeah? Then those 60 grots will usually outscore them, right?
Yeah.
On the objective.
Probably kill them.
And also probably kill them, right? So I would say that there's that trade-off when you're writing an army list where it's like, I've got the monster, for example, Nagash, but he's a character, so it's not really quite right. I've got a single model, but then I need models for scoring objectives.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think that comes into their being pointed correctly. I don't think their utility is really done very well, and I don't think that there's the scenario taken into account, and also how they fit into an army in scenario play. Just don't think it makes very much sense. So I would say that it's a problem with the design mechanics of monsters, not the rest of the game. I don't think it's the Hordes and Regiment army problem.
So how much do you think the Bloodthirsters should be?
How much do I think Bloodthirsters should be?
Yeah. Like the one that's 300 points.
Oh, so this would be the Bloodthirster of Incessant Rage.
Yeah.
Like, he's crazy good.
What's his command ability again?
You can use his command ability at the start of the charge phase. If you do so, pick a friendly model with his command ability until the end of that turn. You can reroll charge rolls for friendly Khorne demons wholly within 16 inches. Yeah, nice. I mean, reroll charges is great, but they start move 10. That's fine. Personally, I would like to see him closer to 200 because they can only take 4. Like, and 4 is very scary. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, like Grissagor General, fucking points way up. Yeah, but a Terrorgeist, an actual Terrorgeist, not that good. They're all right. They're nothing to shout about. This guy, fine. I'd prefer around the 200 mark because again, to like the Frostheart Phoenix is a dumb good, right? Yeah, like because they're 280 points, so you can take 4 of them for 1,000 points. Well, just over 1,000 points.
1,100.
Yeah, 1,100 points. But then you don't have a lot. I mean, one of them's a character, so you got characters sorted out as well. But you still need your battle line, and then you don't have a lot of utility left. And they are good, but they're and they are really, really good for their points. But do they win tournaments all the time? No. I mean, when you play them in just Phoenix Temple, yeah, they've got like an 80% win rate, but that's just because of Chris Tomlin.
Yeah, I mean, really, he's been misplaying them. He should be getting 100% win rate. I think he should pull his finger out, Chris.
Yeah, he should pull his finger out. I agree. And then the Budtastic guy. So let me just finish my point. So my point is that I don't think Games Workshop. I think I love the environment in the future where everything's mini small battalions. Great job.
Yeah.
Big fan. Yeah, everyone's got a terrain piece. Cool. Endless spells. Cool. I'm all into that. Sweet. Great. Monsters. I still think they need to work on monsters. That's my opinion. And
I think if an army came at me with, so if they were 200 points or whatever,
so 800 points for 4 Bloodthirsters.
Yeah.
But they would have that would be 4 characters and 4 monsters. So
yeah, and then a Bloodstoker and a dude with a banner. And then 1,000 points worth of Khorne dudes. He would rinse through my army so.
Do you think he would rinse through your army?
Yeah, so fast.
Maybe. I'm not. Personally, I'm not really sold. Like, because before 4 Phoenixes don't go through someone's army.
No, but then they're tanky, not killy. These 4 Bloodthirsters are really scary.
They are, but you could also screen out 4 Bloodthirsters quite well. Like, otherwise they have to send again, why units are so good versus monsters. You can create board control, presence, you can do a bunch of stuff, you can counterattack. Like, number one, that's if they get there. Like, if they go first, and if they get into your lines in the first turn and hit all of the juicy stuff.
Well, they don't have to go first. I still got to go into the middle of the board to get objectives, and then 4 Bloodthirsters are waiting for me to get there.
But then that's why, like, playing WS10 Nick, right? So playing Nick Thompson, right? He puts down 2 units to 5 heart renders, right? Yeah, like boom, boom. I've got those 2 objectives. Yeah. Fine. Bring your 300 point.
No, they won't. They'll just send forward 10 flesh hounds who will eat the heart renders, and then say,
the 4 Bloodthirsters
and then just say, what are you going to do about those flesh hounds? And then there'll be 4 Bloodthirsters waiting. They're like, come on,
okay,
don't touch my dog.
Whereas I played, so what did I play today? So yeah, Arcan was in the list, and I played like a bunch of Reapers and stuff. Yeah. But like, the thing I love, Vampire Lords or Zombie Dragons with Ethereal Gems, I'm like, fucking bring them to me. They're like, yeah, I've killed like 4 Kadai. I'm like, sweet, the Inspiring Presence. Here's 85 Glaives. He's fucking dead. Yeah, next. Right, and let's move on for no retort. That's why shooting's good as well.
Do the Fireglaves kill the dude?
What, the Ethereal Gem guy?
Yeah.
Well, every fucking time.
Wow, I really struggled to kill one with Fire Drakes, which are similar sort of thing.
But I do the Mortal Wounds in addition, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the power.
Oh yeah, he's got no mortal wound save. Only a 6-up.
Yeah, only 6-up. Yeah.
They're way too uncosted. Those
agreed.
things.
Yeah, they're really, really good. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. So anyway, monsters, I don't necessarily, but you've got an opinion as well. And if you guys are out there in the chat and you've got an opinion, I'd love to hear it. If you're listening to it back and you want to tweet us or Facebook us or give us your 10 cents. I don't think Games Workshop have nailed down monsters, and I don't think they ever have. Like, monsters have always been so variable, and I just would like to see them. I'd like to see them be cheaper, and I'd like to see them have better saves, because you're always making a trade-off with scoring objectives and board control versus...
See, I was always happy to pay 240 points for a Mangler Squig.
Oh, Beard Dragon, thanks for the 50 bits donation. Yeah, go on.
And now they're 280 points, and they're just better as well. So yeah, I think they've costed fine, like a Mangler Squig.
But so it's a glass cannon, right?
Yeah.
So he dies.
He does, but they made him tougher as well. In fact, is he not the same points? He might still be the same points, 240. He flies now.
I mean, that's great.
He's got a 4-up save instead of a 5-up save. And just more consistent.
I just think a Bloodthirster should have a 3-up save. Like, I just think in this environment, because there's a lot of -2 out there now, more than there ever has been. I think a 4-up save is I mean, if you go back, to be honest, if you go back like a year and listen to me do a review on some monster, as soon as I hear the term 12 wounds or 4-up save, I'm like, well, fucking don't take it, because that's crap. And I don't think the environment has got less damagey as a game. I think it's got more damagey.
Yeah.
So I don't see that being very effective personally. That's my opinion. Like someone was just saying in the chat, Luvo I think was saying that he had the Glockin on the board. We just got removed on the first turn. If anyone, I will never take the Glockin. It's got a 4-up save, no discussion resilience. Cool. I'll take a grey and clear one. You don't tend to see the Glockin almost ever.
Yeah, he could do with that disgusting resilience.
Fuck yeah, he could, right? Hellstorm Wargaming, thanks for hosting us. That's great of you. Jimmo, have fun. Have a great time in the US of America. Thanks, man. We will try. And then Elmo says, I don't think monsters in particular are different from other types of units. Some are great and correctly costed, some are quite badly costed, like infantry, in my opinion. Yeah, that's true too. That's another fair point as well. And then Moon Tyranid's done some Hellstorm Wargaming hype.
Cool.
Don't worry, I will never say that Durthu is hot garbage. He is shit. So monsters, I don't think that they've done it, but I would love to hear everyone's opinions and thoughts. Yeah. Also, obviously, your opinions and thoughts about the thing that we've said before about battalions. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, Hellstorm Wargaming, for subscribing 6 months in a row. You gorgeous man. And team, fucking Sheffield mining crew. Definitely. Anyway.
Okie dokie.
Right, next up is the other thing that we've seen a lot of inside this Battletome is wholly within, wholly without. Yeah. Instead of, if you guys are not aware, or if you're new and you don't know what it is, there's this thing called daisy chaining. So there's a buff. A character normally gives a unit within 6 inches. So you put the back of one model within 6 inches. The rest of it's daisy chained out, like lined out, as if you're trying to put out of a fire and pass a bucket along the line. But now in fact, all of the Blades of Khorne book, they've changed everything to wholly within.
Cool.
Which is cool. Yeah. Like wholly within 12, wholly within 8. Right. So number one, what do you think about that as a thing?
I think it's cool. Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in.
Twitch chat, what do you think?
I'm wholly within.
You're wholly within it. Yeah, good. I too am wholly within that. Also,
especially for buffs. Yeah. Especially for buffs.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately I much prefer the wholly within conversation.
Yeah.
I think it's way better, and it also makes the game. So Fat Snork says good. Fantastic says I like it. Fantastic Guy says agreed.
I mean, it just looks nicer. That's the main reason.
It looks nicer. Yeah. Okay. Bit of jet bomb hole coming in. My next Velatron, thank you very much. Oh man, there's a show, and I thought that these fine gentlemen will be somewhere in the US. That we are there on Wednesday, not long, where we'll be meeting up with all the cool Americans. So the wholly within conversation is great. I like it as a design mechanic, and if all books in the future get that. We'll be in this really cool, like you said, aesthetically more pleasing game, and arguably more challenging to enact.
Yeah.
I hope things like that will increase the skill gap. Like, so it would be harder to be good with an army because you've got to remember, oh fuck, I've got to move that guy, etc.
Yeah.
I, not to pick fault, but places where I see it being a negative is when being wholly within is not really advantageous at all. So what do I mean by that? Like, so I can reroll ones to wound if I'm within 8 inches of a character.
Yeah.
Sounds great on paper, but if mechanically you've ever tried to play that, what tends to happen is I do some moving, and now I'm 8 inches away from my opponent, for example. So, and I've got a big unit of 20 or 30 of something. So I charge. Cool, I made a big 11-inch charge, that's great. And I'd like to get all of my attacks in. But now I've got to make that conversation. Do I try and make them all within 8 of a character who now also can't charge? Or do I charge my character in first, then the guys in second, and then try and put them around like that? And did I do that in my movement phase? All of which is good and requires some really skilled gaming mechanics, which I love. I think that's a really solid choice. And I like that if that's the design methodology. But then the actual bonuses for being wholly within are pretty shit for how hard you have to work. Like, realistically, you could just move the unit forward, send all 30 in, and do with some units in particular, do such an overwhelming volume of damage that being wholly within isn't anywhere near as worthwhile as just charging and getting their fight in.
Yeah, so you've got to be able to weigh up what's what. Yeah,
I do think
that's part of the skill thing, isn't it?
It's part of the skill thing, agreed. But I don't think, having read most of the things, keeping something inside of a banner that allows you to be immune to battle shock, or a unit that keeps you immune to battle shock, or that's good, right? That's onboard mechanics. That's fine. Making it so that I have to be within 8 inches of a pretty naff character so I can reroll ones to wound. Nah, man, that's not enough of a buff. Like, it's just not enough. Not like aggressive core general.
So then don't take it. If it's not enough, don't do it then.
That's my point, though. I know I really like it as a mechanic. Great. I like that we have to be wholly within now, as opposed to the buffs we had before. But what I mean is I think the designers need to increase the benefits of that very tight tactical play. My question to you is, how difficult and how many times have you left a character outside of range?
Quite a few times.
I would say most of the time, in my experience. For me, maybe that's my experience.
I do it quite often. Yeah.
Quite often. It's really hard to do well.
Yeah. Well, you forget about it when you're doing it and stuff like that, and then but that's a cool part of the game.
It is a cool part of the game.
Oh, I've got to fuck. He's out the place. He's got to run. Charge. Oh, he didn't make it. Oh well.
Yes, but what I would like to see inside of this, and I haven't seen many versions of it, I would like to see a much bigger bonus given, especially 8 inches. That's very small, realistically, as a footprint to try to maintain to keep a character inside. My Bull Centaurs, my Bull Centaur Turok, he's got a command ability that every Balhar unit, so that would be all my other Bull Centaurs, for anyone who's keeping track, which is basically no one. They get to add +1 to hit from his command ability in the combat phase, but they have to be wholly within 12. My Bull Centaurs are movement 8, they get +1 to charge, and they get to re-roll the charges because of another character. That's great, yeah? But 12 inch, and they're quite big models as well, but they have to run together, and sometimes it can still be a little bit tricky to make that work.
Good.
Agreed. But +1 to hit is, I'm like looking at it and I think,
that's a super great thing.
It's not that great because they're not great, right? As a unit. But +2 to hit, right?
You're a greedy bastard. What do you want +2 to hit for?
Because I want it to be much harder to, 8 inches is quite tough to do for some of these models, right?
Yeah.
So when it's harder to do, the skill cap's higher. When the skill cap's higher, the players are playing better. Yeah. Number one, you can make mistakes more, which makes the game more swingy. Yeah. But you also have a set of skills to do stuff better. I'm not saying make +2 to hit within 12 inches. But if you've got, does that make sense? I don't think the bonus for trying to play well is as good as just going, I've got a general, he's going to use a command ability on himself, and he's going to fucking pile in and attack twice. That's easy to do,
Yeah.
for a crazy reward, and he's wholly within himself, doesn't require any skill, like, whereas a blood throne, no, not the blood throne, sorry, not that, let's go back to the bloodmaster. So in the combat phase, after this unit's fought in that combat for the first time, you can pick one friendly bloodletter unit that is wholly within 12 inches of this model and is within 3 inches of an enemy unit which has not fought in that combat phase. The unit you pick must fight immediately instead of being picked to fight later in that combat phase. Right? It's actually quite hard to do. Yeah, this guy has to survive. He's got 5 wounds with a 4-up save. He's in combat. Like, he might die. There's a trade-off to try and make that command ability happen. There's a trade-off, and that's cool. Like, I fucking love that. It's chess. It's like you being smart, me being smart, or both of us being dumb. Whatever your choice. That's cool. Like, I'm all about it. It's really hard to do. I like that. I just think that there's some not. Like, I'm trying to review the process, right?
Okay.
And I think that I like that they're doing Wholly Within, but I think that they should reward Wholly Within much more than they did previously. That's my argument. What do you think?
I don't know. I think stuff is. Don't know. I hadn't thought of that. I think
something to think on.
Yeah, I think it's something to think on. I think the abilities are normally worth it. It's up to you to weigh it up and see. And then if people are deciding, oh, I'm not going to take this guy because that's not worth it, then either his points will eventually decrease, or because we've got points that are reviewed every year, so they'll either reduce his points so that it becomes worth it, or else they'll eventually, when they redo the battle tome, which they seem to be redoing them pretty rapid, then they'll have to have a look at that. So that's all going to be affect list building and all sorts of things, isn't it? So
yeah, I agreed. But what I'm talking about is future conversations about this building. Like, we're all like, Wholly Within's great. That's cool.
You just got to be aware that some of the buffs just aren't going to be. They're going to be too difficult, or they're not going to be worth it, and you're not going to see those guys.
Yeah, like a good example would be the Skull Grinder.
Yeah.
Not in this edition of the Blades of Khorne book, but the old edition of Blades of Khorne book. He had an amazing ability, right? If you killed a hero or monster with a Skull Grinder, and he was very unlikely to be able to kill a monster, but a hero, maybe, especially then he could blood bless units within a certain small range, and then they would be powerful for the rest of the game. It was awesome. They've taken that ability away from him, but it was so hard to do. And me and Nathan have talked about
why they've taken it basically. So they've gone with what you've said, really, haven't they?
No, they haven't. No, because it was a really good reward. Like, if you ever got that off on a unit of Bloodletters or a bunch of other units,
but it was virtually impossible to do.
It was very hard to do. Right, I one time saw it as I saw it in my head as a challenge, something that eventually I'd like to try and play. I'd be like, fuck, I'll try that. I'll try that for a couple of months, just play tons of games and try and have it happen, because it would be sweet, right? But whereas doing 7 wars isn't overly challenging mechanically to achieve, right? Or is it?
It's no. I mean, you just say I'm going to do 7 wars, and then you just do it. But I mean, obviously you got to line the units up to make sure they're within range to maximise that. But
All right, so I just think a really interesting conversation about those abilities. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I like the Wholly Within. Big fan of that. I just think that there should be some bump for rewards for doing that well, because especially the 8-inch stuff on some of these small wound heroes, it's quite a sacrifice for a minimal return, in my opinion.
Oh, then we just won't see those guys, won't we?
Well, no, we won't. We won't, and that's my point.
Yeah.
I think that those abilities are because what I don't want them to do is look at it and go, no one's taken Bloodmasters, why not? Yeah, Well,
its ability's not good enough. Or the range.
Yeah, that's what I hope they see as a problem. That's what I'm trying to bring up. So the guys in the chat saying,
I mean, you've got that problem with the Gits, I find, is that the movement is so key, because all the little buff things, there's quite a lot of buffing and debuffing, so if you try and use the buffing side of it, it's really tough to get stuff in.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think the buffing.
But that's the challenge, and that's why I'm going to take the Gobblepalooza and the Loon bosses because I want to take on that challenge.
No, I think it's a good challenge if the reward is worth it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Like
it does.
some of them aren't. Reroll once to wound is not.
That's great.
That's fucking rubbish, in my opinion.
Well, you're wrong.
Good. Bellatron, Holy Within, not stacking buffs and modified CP and reroll all rolls. I like how the game's getting standardised, less confusing. I do agree with that, and I think it's wicked. I do think it's wicked. And less subject to crazy killer combos. But then it makes the game... Anyway. Elmer says, Holy Within 8 inches is a lot easier if you take monsters instead of big blobs of units. That's true. To rehash the previous point, big horde, very hard to give said bonuses. That's also true as well. But then you also get an economy of scale. Rerolling once to wound on 70 attacks, for example, is much better than rerolling once to wound on a D3 damage weapon from a Bloodthirster. Like it just is. And then Warhammer Brian says, I like the move towards Holy Within and unmodified sixes. Mandoli says, the smaller the buffing area, the more I think they are designing it to affect other characters rather than units, which is a good point I haven't really thought about. Yeah, also big shout out to Mandolis, because we went to his house.
Yeah,
lovely man. CRL Captain. J Boom says, if you put All Strike's first artifact on the dude, you can have an All Strike's first bloodletters. That's cool. Yeah. Fat Snork says you could put the buff or increase the range to offset it being hard to maintain. Ventron says, could one of the mechanics to shove your heroes within the unit to be buffed, less hitty, but then that makes it easier to use his abilities to keep the unit within range? Yeah, there's an option, right? Yeah. I personally think some of the heroes... some of the heroes in Age of Sigmar could be a little bit stronger, like they're on 40k. Like a little bit more punchy, I think. But that's just my opinion. Because they often are just buff pieces, heroes, right? Yeah. By the way, I've just noticed that I'm a mod. You are a mod, Velatron. You did ask last week, if you remember. You were like, make me a moderator, so I made you a moderator. And also, he said, teach me, Celise, how to ban people. And then Celise said, you must find the way yourself, Grasshopper. Warren Bryan says, Holy Within is a lot harder to pull off with large blobs. I know we've read that, which is fine. Good. Alright, dog is super cute. I agree. And also fucking up the show. Cool. That's the kind of that's the review. The only other thing that I think I took away from the Blades-Core book as I read it was that I think that they standardized a lot of the War Scrolls, Wrathmongers, Skull Grinder, Skull Reapers, as an example. They made them like a lot more simpler to read, which is great. Honestly, the Skull Reaper battle tome before, I felt like I needed a small degree to understand it. I don't know about you. Scarbrands, I would say I'm a little bit upset by Scarbrands because he had his like rage table before, and now it's just like pretty like just numbers. And I'm like, come on, men, like you fucking or ladies, if you ladies write rules, I don't think. But I was like, you guys fucking love telling a good story. Don't make it so I'm like less fucking bothered. I'll like be fucking like Scarbrand, it's his rage table. Just call it that. So I think they're simpler to read, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Simpler to read, but I assume most of us are Age of Sigmar players, so I'm going to say something now. The abilities in 40k are boring as shit. Right? This is every ability in 40k. You can reroll once to hit because you've got a character. Fucking whoop-de-doo. Yeah, the other ability in 40k is like you can reroll once to wound. Whoop-de-fucking, like they're all boring and they're all the same and they just copy and paste it from one fucking codex to the next codex and it's really, really boring. And Age of Sigmar is interesting and yeah, that means there's some janky fucking combos, but whatever. I would take a world of janky, weird combos for a more interesting game. I'm really sad about the Wrathmongers, really sad about the Skull Grinders ability. I'm sad that they've taken what I think Skull Reapers was complicated. I didn't understand Skull Reapers, and whenever someone would tell me Skull Reapers, I was like, yeah man, just fucking roll the dice and tell me what to roll, that's fine. But the Wrathmongers and Skull Grinder and stuff, I feel like they made them quite, because they didn't do that with some of them Gits special abilities are quite fucking cool and quite complicated, right?
Which ones?
Like the moon on a stick. Like you have to explain it a little bit, right? If I wound, it's going to be another wound. What about crushing someone with a grip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting somebody in your pants.
Putting someone in your pants from the Gargant. That's a little bit complicated because you can pick the model, right? That's something different to what your opponent normally does.
Yeah. They're not that complicated though. You roll the dice and then you put somebody in your pants. It's great.
Warren Ryan says AOS puts a lot of flavour into the abilities. It does a great job of making the game seem more cinematic. That's what I would say. And while I really like that they're making them simpler to read, so that we never have to talk about Holy Within ever again. Never go back to those times, the dark times. I think I don't want to lose the flavour because the flavour's so cool.
Yeah.
It's a cool game because of the flavour.
Yeah.
It's always like I'm about to I played Sylvaneth for a long time, and the amount of times I would just roll the dice to see if you tree dick someone to death. Best fun ever. Tree Lord Ancient. I'm like, if I roll a 5 or 6, I'm about to dick you to death. Fucking the amount of your Grot Shamans that I dick to death was the most fun ever.
Your tastes are unique, sir.
Yeah, you are. They are, sir. You don't want to see them go away either, right?
No.
So I have a question for you.
Well, which is why I'm going to be playing the Gobapalooza.
Good, because that is complicated as shit. Right, so I have a question for you in the Twitch chat.
Yeah.
Which would you prefer? Simple. So only two choices. I'm sorry. There was probably a better third solution.
Then you know what my answer is.
Right. No, but here are the two. Fantastic. I hope they never change Croxagore. It never works, but it is fun. It is fun. Croxagore's ability is well fun.
The crocodile grip.
The crocodile bite. Yeah. So you got two futures, Nath. Right. And I'm not saying these are the two futures. There's probably like a middle ground. So you have a future where all of the rules are very simple to read, but really bland and uninteresting, or as complicated as they've ever been, and confusing and cause rows, but cinematic and flavourful. Those are your two futures. Two doors, sir. Twitch chat, people at home, podcast listeners. Which door would you like to open?
A nice flavourful one.
Flavourful one with stories.
Yeah.
Agreed. Because I was talking to I don't know if
points.
I don't know if he's still in
no points.
I was talking to Agent Nagash, the YouTuber, in the chat, and he told me the story. He charged some Wrathmongers with something. He was like, I charged some Wrathmongers. I was like, oh, what happened? He went, I killed myself. Yeah, I was like, oh, they've taken that way. He goes, yeah, I know. And I was like, but that's why they were such good stories, because your monsters should never be fighting those Wrathmongers. They're movement 5. Like, if that Wrathmonger's got you fucked it up. Right, but then now the story's gone. Story's gone now, and it's sad, I think. The chat
at least now monsters can fight Wrathmongers, which is a good enough story in its own.
Is it?
Right, and they'll still kill it.
No, what, the Wrathmongers? Yeah, the Wrathmongers will probably still kill the monster because monsters are rubbish. Warhammer Brian says cinematic every turn. Reflex Dog Training Painting says agreed. Hook and Pin says bring me the spice. Let the spice flow. Massbot says well they came out with AOS, so Elmo says AOS started scenario 1, it wasn't good. Flavor says fantastic. Flavor says Steve Dooley. Reflex says cinema. Flavorful cinemas. Spooner says the Gobapalooza seems expensive to me unless I'm missing something. You are correct.
Well, nobody voted for boring.
No one really voted for boring.
Or maybe you loaded the question too much.
I did load the question, which is why I prefixed the question with maybe there's a fairer middle ground.
Here's a loaded question.
Yeah. Easy makes less gotcha moments and can actually make the strategy element more important in terms of gameplay, says Velatron.
Yeah.
It does, but it also makes it like there's only a certain amount of you want to watch a Space Marine captain stand next to a bunch of fucking guys with guns and just go, I'm going to reroll the ones. You're like, I don't care, mate. Just not bothered. So that's just my opinion.
Then why has he stood there?
Because that's all he does. Every Space Marine captain in the fucking Warhammer 40,000 universe just stood there like, fire your guns a little bit better, lads. Like, oh shit. I personally would like characters to be getting in fights more. Like the Unforged. When you're Unforged, kill my Scarab.
My Unforged always gets in fights.
Yeah, that's because you're the only one who gets him in fights.
My Unforged is having the best time in the Mortal Realms. I was thinking about him today. I was like, this guy has had the best time in the Mortal Realms of all the Unforged.
When were you thinking about him?
Seriously, today I was.
At what point you were like plastering a wall and you were like, Unforged?
I was plastering a
wall. Tell me what you were thinking.
I was thinking. I don't know why I started thinking about the Dispossessed. I was listening to a podcast and then I was like, yeah, the Unforged. He is like, everybody views him as a tax. Because the only reason I've ever taken him really is if I'm having a fun game or if I'm taking the Grudgebound Warthrong. And so he is sort of like a tax. But then I was thinking, he is, but he has a great time.
That's what
He's killed Skarak. He's killed 4 Fulminators in one game.
Killed Nagash once.
He's killed Nagash. He's just having the best time ever.
He's having the best time. Yeah, flavour all day. Like, and do you know what? As much as I hate the decision to have no points back in the day, yeah, the more I play, the more I'm like, I think the points mean almost nothing because they're so wildly imbalanced often, right? That like and skill level can grossly change how competent you are with an army in any way.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if you're just having a fun game, you don't need points, really, do you?
Fuck no, open play all day, Dave. Let's do that. Benny says, Devil's Advocate, wasn't that the big difference between AOS and old Warhammer? And folks saying that AOS was too simple, but in the end turned out to be more fun for the record than played on Warhammer. It's more fun. It's been more fun though because of the wild and wacky rules. Wrathmongers was like have always been there. That the wild and wacky rules of Wrathmongers.
Yeah, it's got to be a balance. It can't be one way or the other.
Agreed. Like I'm not disagreeing.
I mean, if you look at games like chess where the rules are dead simple.
And I have said that
people love that game.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And I have said that the simplicity, changing the rules so they're simpler to understand and read, I'm super about. The errata they did about who goes first, great shout. Like making it more clear. I think that causes more tension between players. No one knows what's going on or how two things interact. Like is a big one. Like what is it today? Someone today told me that they thought. So I'm using the Mask of Sinesh. And then it halves movement if you start the movement phase within 12 inches, right? Someone then told me that then that meant that charges and pilings were also halved. And I was like, why? It's like, because they're moves. And I was like, they're not moves. Moves happen in the movement phase. But I did question it. I was like, nah, that doesn't feel right at all. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then got the core rulebook out. Spoke to actually the event manager for Games Workshop. He was there at the table at the time, and we cracked open the rulebook. We had a little read through it. It was like, I think a charge move is different to a move, and a pile-in move is different to a move. But I did have to say move, and I felt like a moron for saying it. But we had to establish that. And that's a bit of an older war scroll, and it'd be cool if that would get updated to make it make more sense. Also nerfed into oblivion because
I'm
really
sure
stupid.
it will do.
Agreed. So my point is I'm all for simple rules because it means you and me can have better games that just like make more sense. I just don't want to lose the flavour. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you want the best of all the worlds.
Yeah.
You want to have your cake and eat it.
No, I want a spicy curry. Yeah, but
some cake afterwards.
No, a spicy curry, but I don't want to have to like cook it from scratch. I want to microwave it. You see what I'm saying? Like I want it quick.
That sounds awful. Besides, you don't like spicy curry.
How about
a mild curry?
I don't. A flavourful curry that I order from a takeaway as opposed to have to cook it from scratch.
Sometimes cooking it is fun.
I'm not saying it's not fun, brother. Yeah, I'm just saying it's a lot of hard work. Yeah,
you
and
lazy says, bastard.
That's a terrible metaphor, and I would agree.
Yeah,
I would say that is a terrible metaphor.
Is terrible.
Yeah, that is terrible. It's as terrible as a cat stuck up a tree. Yeah, when there are ambulance drivers all around the world.
It's terrible as somebody trying to deep fry a steak.
I tried to cook a steak for someone the other day. I'm just going to tell everyone. And Nathan watched me. Yeah, and I haven't cooked steak for 6 years because I'm a vegetarian. And then Nathan laughed for about an hour, yeah, about this fucking steak.
Well, I think I didn't laugh. I think I might have cried for about.
Yeah, because you were sad for the cow that died to cook that steak.
For the person that had to eat it.
And also Reticent says have a deep fried steak in Chicago. Apparently that's a delicacy there. So fuck you. And also Tristan says I just made a dead simple meal. I'll send you the recipe. I imagine it's going to be beans. And then Fat Snork says Sigmar needs a microwave korma. Yeah, there we go. And did I cook it poorly? I did. Let's just move on from this topic. I'm not proud of this moment, and I wish Nathan hadn't brought it up. And finally, there's one more elephant in the room when it comes to the Blades of Khorne Battletome.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess what it is? Do you want to guess what it is?
I can't think of it.
No.
No.
All right. So it would be prayers again.
Oh yeah.
So we have command abilities in the game.
Yeah.
And obviously there's like a give and take when it comes to list building, when it comes to competitive play. Of if I take command ability X, that means I don't get access to command ability Y. Command ability Y might be useful in a certain situation. The whole thing. I mean, also Sinise has made a point. Where is Slanesh? That's also Sinise. Don't forget, I am running a Slaneshi model in my Adepticon army. Hope you're proud. But prayers are uninteractive. It's I can do a thing and you can't stop me.
Yeah.
Magic is an interactive part of the game, which is quite fun and involves the dice rolling. I quite like that as a fun element. My question to you and the Twitch chat: how do you feel about prayers in the game, not real life?
Yeah. Yeah, I can see what you're saying about them. They do feel a bit uninteractive, but then they are part of the flavour of the Khorne army in that they don't have the magic, so they have the prayers. So again, it's a bit of a balance. Obviously, I like the inner spells, but I like the jeopardy of the fact that they can turn around and bite you. So I'm a little bit sad that you can't do that with
prayers.
With the Cornish prayers, yeah.
Oh, sorry. So no, you're talking about the judgments.
Yeah, the judgments.
I'm not talking about the judgments.
But yeah, the prayers themselves. That's the Khorne. That's the flavour of a Khorne army, I guess, because they don't have the magic, so they've got the prayers. So.
Yeah, so the rules writers have to find a way to shoehorn in buffs. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not trying to be.
I mean, obviously, you'd have to point it accordingly. The fact that I don't know if they so it makes it more difficult for them to point. I would have thought.
Point a priest.
Yeah.
As a fact.
A way as opposed to a magician, because then you've got to take into the fact that the priest. I mean. To cast a prayer, it takes about the same. It's the same difficulty level, most of them, as casting a spell.
Yeah.
But then you've got to take into the fact that it can't be unbound. So you would think that you would put a little bit more on, but then that's it. So, but then you've got to look at the other abilities that they can do.
Yes, I agree.
On their thing. So some of the magicians have got other abilities that affect. That might be buffs, so like the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, it's got the ocular vision thing, so he'll pay points for that. Whereas, some of the, like a Madcap Shaman, he's got an extra ability, but it's actually, he gets an extra spell, but then he can more than likely hurt himself as well. So then you would want to see him being costed less than a Slaughter Priest or another magician.
Yeah.
So sometimes you look at the points, and you wonder, like you say, the points are out here and there.
Only here and there, though. Not everywhere.
Not everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
No, just here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just read what the guys in the chat are saying before, maybe I chip in with my thoughts. Although, so then Andy Shader says, as I have 2 Slaughter Priest prayers are awesome, which I completely feel. Yeah. Hugely unbalanced, says Jake. It's a mechanic that the player cannot counter in any way, unlike a dispel. Speckle says, I think you just need to come out and say all these rants are to prove Daughters of Cain need fixing. These are meant to be like a review of the battle tone from a design mechanic, as opposed to you can reroll ones for Khorne.
I use obviously I use Rune Lords in Dispossessed, and they've got
always
prayer.
Yeah. Craggy for life. For life.
And I like the fact that they've got a prayer and it's reliable. It's a reliable buff. Not 100% reliable, but it's still a reliable buff, and that's what you'd expect from a Rune Lord.
Yes, yeah, you would a fairly reliable luff. But so Santastic says, I don't mind prayers on a 4+. But then he also then goes on to say that, but I don't like them on a 2 or 3+. Then with rerolls, right? Because then it becomes like, why don't you just make it an ability?
Yeah.
At that point, Mandoli says they can disappear for the Eternals. So Mandoli is talking about judgments, which obviously is different. Elmberg says prayers are like spells, but better and unstoppable. An intervention of your own god to stop things for a CP or other limited resource would be welcome. Yeah, I mean, obviously you are paying points for, in this specific case, we're talking about Slaughter Priests. So you are paying points for the Slaughter Priests to do the spell, realistically, but some of the Slaughter Priests also have other buffs as well. They're part of a battalion. Like, it's questionable, really, in what environment, like, how they're pointed. But they are very reliable in comparison to the magic phase. But obviously then how do you give out... I like the prayer mechanic, or the methodology. Like, there's another way to do buffs in game that isn't magic. I think that's cool. I just think maybe they should be more impactful but harder to do. You know, like, so or they happen only
less impactful and
easier to do. Yeah, so they're like super reliable.
There needs to be a balance, doesn't there? I mean, the Rune Lord prayer. The Rune Lords have got 2 prayers: Ancestral Shield and Forge Fire. And I very seldom go with the Ancestral Shield, which is a 6-up ignore, and always casting Forge Fire,
which is -1 rend to a unit.
Yeah, and you know, I like the fact that it's so reliable, but I do pay the points for that guy, and he doesn't do a lot else really. I mean, he's got a great unbinding ability, but then I don't know if I feel like he is overcosted or undercosted.
You don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
Points wise, he's quite a few points. He's more points than like a shaman, which I think is right. So yeah.
Yeah. Also, one interesting chat I had with Par when he was running his Beast of Chaos at Christmas time. And if you go back and listen to one of the shows earlier on, then we did have this conversation where we talked about the reliability in game of buffs. So you've obviously got, like, on the wild end, you've got magic. Yeah. Who knows if that's going off or not going off, right? So you got magic, and it's quite inconsistent. Apart from maybe if you play Skaven, that's pretty consistent magic. And then you've got prayers, which are incredibly reliable, but still you can fuck them up. And then you go all the way down to command abilities, which are definite and you can guarantee. And then you just have abilities, right? But there's a resource for command abilities, so that's why they're still not 100% reliable, because you have to manage a resource. Then you've got abilities, so that's your sliding scale. And prayers do fit between command abilities, and they fit between and them and
magic.
Yeah, and so it's cool that they're there. Like, I do think that I don't know why. It's uninteractive, but sometimes I think, why don't you just say that you can just do them? You can just do a prayer. Although I like the dice rolling mechanic.
I mean, they roll the dice. I think at the moment the mechanic isn't that bad, really. Sometimes you get a bit pissed off. I think maybe the points could be looked at. So if you've got somebody that can, so like a Rune Lord can only do 1 prayer. But the prayer, it's reliable. It's only on a 2-up, and I've rolled 1-ups. I've rolled 1s lots of times with those guys.
Same.
But on a 2-up, so it's dead reliable, no reroll. And he costs 100 points, whereas like a shaman that costs 1 spell is about 80 points. So, you know, you're paying 20 points more for him. He's got another ability, but most shamans have got other abilities as well. So yeah, I think that's right. He should be more. But then if he gets access to another law, and then he can cast 2 prayers, then if you look at a magician that casts more than that can cast 2 spells, they're 120 at least plus.
Yeah, but you wish they weren't 120 because their Skaven should be more than 120.
So then this guy should be at least 20 points plus more than that. So I think a Gracia should be more like
160,
140, 160 at least. So then this, if you can do 2 prayers, then you should be looking at 180, something like that. And I'll bet you the Slaughter Priests aren't that much, are they?
No, they're not. No. Okay, right, really good. Good chat. good about that, I think. So you're saying reroll to wound and fearless ability is broken to Son of Rolf. Mandollies, I find them fine. I need to be able to get something off against Nagash, which again is absolutely fair. But then but Nagash's thing is like magic dominance. Oh, we haven't talked about the anti-magic. That's cool. Hypnocracken says just triggered. Tomb King Tristan is also triggered. And he said, what's so difficult about steak? You just put it in a pan and wait till it's well done. Oh fuck! Fuck! Shit. Fuck. Speckle says, I think godlike models should have the ability to stop praying, like Nagash, as he's on the table, so you can't pray to anyone but him. That's cool. That's actually really cool. Like, deny a prayer. Because it's like, how dare you pray to another god? I'm literally in front of you. Yeah, that's cool. Manaki says, Forge Fire is bonkers.
Yeah, until you play against 9 Taunt.
And then Elmer says, so some of the prayers on 3+ rerollable are like 98%, 89% in their validity to be able to happen. What's the reliability on the 2d6 casting value? So yeah, that's interesting. And Boulder Dash says, nothing wrong with prayers per se, isn't it a Khorne problem specifically? Much of Daughter's King problem. No, I'm not saying that there are any problems with prayers, just talking about them as a thing, because they're obviously inside this. And how do people
sometimes
feel about them?
Yeah, I think some of them could be maybe changed. Some of them are too strong for what, like if you look at the
for Daughters of Cain specifically.
Yeah, the Hag Queens stuff. But then that's not a prayer. That's an ability. It's a witch brew, isn't it?
Yeah. So is their prayer? I mean, their prayer gives them the reroll 5-up ignores.
Yeah, which I've played against that, and I would say they fail that quite often.
Yes, I would agree with that. But the auto passing morale is just an ability that they have on their war scroll.
Yeah,
which is easy to do, so simple, but not very interesting. Yeah, so I think that's a good call. All right, so and the final thing we're talking about. So that's reviewing the book as a piece. So my only negative from the book.
Oh, did you say you were gonna say something about magic?
Yeah, I'm gonna touch on that finally. I just wanted to maybe like just end
outside of the book.
Outside of the book. I wanted to just say that about the book. Like, so I think number one, I think the books this year so far have been awesome. I've liked them a lot. I think the power level's quite up there, and then this book maybe isn't up there with the Skaven and Flesh Eater Courts in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a minute. But that's where we're going to. But as for the book, the only real negatives that I see, I think there's some great things, great takeaways. So let's do the great takeaways. Holy Within's really cool. Big fan of that. Big fan of simplified wording. Big fan of smaller War Scroll battalions. I think that's cool, and I would like to see that continue for me personally. So big fan. Negatives, please put the Path to Glory section somewhere else in the fucking book. Anywhere else in the book. Outside of the book, in a separate book that you then put into a rocket and then fire into the sun would be my preferable choice. Yeah, but
fuck you.
Border Dash doesn't agree though. He says this battle tome feels like a rushed afterthought, so he doesn't like the battle tome. So fair enough. I think it's definitely a consolidation of some of the stuff. But then the negatives are, I think, from a holistic whole game perspective, I don't think monsters. I still don't think they know how to do monsters well, because as a gamer, I compare a monster to a unit, and if the monster's not good as a unit, and it almost never is, I always take units over monsters quite often.
You just play monsters really badly.
That could also be very true.
As a gamer.
As a gamer, yeah. Also, Holy Within, I think I would like to see them be. I'd like to see buffs by characters be more impactful, but not the ones that are super easy to do. Like one command point to bring an entire unit of Grimghast Reapers back. No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, if I've got a Skull Taker and he has to be within 8 inches of an entire unit, fuck yeah, make that like. Do you know what I mean? Those are my two things.
And then put his points up.
Yeah, whatever. Right, yeah. So what do you think about the book as a piece?
I've not, like I said, I've not gone through it all, but so far, yeah, I think it's pretty. From what I've heard, I think it's pretty strong. I think it'd be a good book.
Well, so now that's the conversation we're getting on to next. Is its impact inside of the game?
Yeah.
So that was kind of a review of like where, like of what they're doing. The review of it is impacting the game. before we get into like FAQs and the fact that like we'll actually like start taking units out and talking about those units. Effectively, from lots of the war scrolls I've read and like their blood tithe abilities and also their judgments prayers, it's quite clear that they're an anti-magic army, because there's quite a few abilities inside there that shuts magic down.
Yeah.
My question is do you think that the gamers? So, I mean, I've put a couple of lists together and I've had a look. Do you think that gamers are going to be magnanimous enough to make sure that their army is really anti-magic-y and then not as strong as it could be in the fighting bit or even shooting bit with skull cannons? Or are they going to just be a little bit anti-magic-y, which isn't quite enough to stop the strength of some of the really good magic armies, i.e. Skaven? That's the question.
Yeah. Oh, I think they can do it fairly well. Balance. I mean, they could just use some of the blood tithe points and just make sure the vortex never happens.
Yeah, but they have to get blood tithe points first.
Yeah.
Which will probably happen because this fucking vortex happen. Yes, I agree with that. The vortex is so strong because it's a first turn alpha strike spell.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But I think Khorne will probably outdrop Skaven most of the time.
Yeah. So they'll have the option to go first,
Yeah.
and then try to get the skulls, the judgment skulls out.
They can get the judgment. Yeah, they can get the hex gorge skulls, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Whack them across the board, and then also hopefully get a few blood tithe points in the bank for just saying that cast failed. Oh, you've rolled a 13. It's fine. It failed anyway.
Well, in the 13 situation, it would actually go off.
No, it wouldn't.
So wait, is that the order of process?
Yeah. So that it says that the skull is cast and cannot be unbound, but then the spell eating thing is just the spell is not cast. It's not as unbound. It's just does not happen.
Just no.
Yeah.
All right.
Magic
Good.
Stops.
All right. Nice. Okay. But yeah, and like Andy Shade is saying in the chat, and I think it's true actually. There's lots of even Fleshhounds get the opportunity to unbind. Loads of characters get the opportunity to unbind,
and they've got lots of dispelling as well.
And they have got lots of dispelling, which they don't get any bonuses to naturally, but they do have the ability to reduce casting power down, which is strong and good.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they've got ways where if you cast, they can do severe damage to your wizards just by you attempting to cast spells. So
yeah,
I think especially with my army, a lot of the time I'm going to be like, I'm not going to cast the spell if I want, unless I know that it's time for that spell to go off. There's no point in just casting spells if they don't have a real good purpose at that time. Otherwise, I could lose all of my wizards.
Agreed. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. I would say that. Yeah. I feel like I don't feel that they have to. I don't think you have to sacrifice, because what you really want is like a balancing mechanic, right? You want something on the other end of the lever. You want something that's okay, we're going to help shut down magic quite a bit just by existing.
Yeah.
Sylvaneth shut down shooting just by existing.
Yeah.
They help shooting not be a thing by just existing. So I think that's cool. I think that's actually a really good effect. And Khorne armies are traditionally used a lot anyway. People really like them, so they generally tend to be popular, and a lot of people take them.
Yeah.
So I like that, because I was a little bit concerned by the Skaven. I think Skaven are still going to get taken, and I think they're still going to be really strong. But Khorne might be the gatekeeper to slow them down a little bit.
Yeah.
And seeing as they've won 4 tournaments in a row, or they've gone 5-0 at the past 4 tournaments, they do need scaling back a bit. They do need putting in a trap. A rat trap.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
I think somebody's going to bosh them on the head with a big axe.
Yeah, fuck yeah. All right, I think that's quite a good. I think it was quite a good review. Obviously, I would say that because we did it.
We're so skillful.
Thank you. Anyone in the Twitch chat got any questions? What do you think? How do you feel about just looking at the books like that? Because obviously, we always normally do that when we look at the books.
Just a broad feel for them.
Well, not for even the internal not even for the rules of the actual army, because we can get to that on another day.
A few key points, really.
Just more the kind of design methodology of the game at the minute, because it's changed quite a lot. But they've been a bit erratic with those changes, but it feels like that they've slowly started to solidify into these kind of like mini battalions, wholly within.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we're going to find other books where they're going to have big battalions again, and I think that's cool if you have a mix. Don't just go all mini battalions. Have a few books with some big uns, and it'd be cool.
Or you want there to be some with a few
mix.
big uns.
Yeah, a mix is good.
Okay.
Huh.
That's very un-Zimbabwean of you.
Fuck you.
Luvo says insightful commentary from Nathan tonight, with less looks from Rob for help to finish off interesting trains of thought. One Ryan, I would like to see how this army matches up against the new FEC. That battle tome is very good. Yes, I would say that's true.
I think it's got some great matchups. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And then Lydie said, just thought I'd say hi. Just tuned in. Looks like I missed it. Lol. He was at Throne of Skulls this weekend with Gloomspite, and he had a great time.
Of course he did.
And Dan at Honest Wargamer. Hi lads. Hi buddy. How you doing? Cool. All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be good. Nice seeing Khorne on the board again. Shame about their bloodthirsters.
I think they're going to be on the board, and they're pretty scary.
They're not.
That dude with the big axe is just going to go bash, and all the support heroes are going to go.
Which is what he could do before. That was literally the Blood Council bomb.
Yeah, but now he can do it better.
Can he do it better?
Yes.
I don't know if you can do it better.
With all those artifacts and things that they can get.
Yeah, but they already did that. That literally was the Blood
Council. So he had
bomb.
but he had a 4-up. He could only hit on a 4. Now he can hit on a 2, re-rolling once.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But then he can't increase the activation of the of the bomb.
Well, yeah, but then
but he used to be able to increase the activation of the bomb.
Well, now he can re-roll 1, and he's getting more hits through because virtually all the hits are going through.
Yeah, and you've got more chances to roll it. Yeah. All right, fair enough.
You only need a couple, and then all of those support heroes, like all the Stormcast support heroes, are going to keel over. All of my Gobblepaloozas are just going to evaporate.
If they're within 8 inches.
Evaporate.
If they're within 8 inches, that's quite small. I always used to remember. I literally ran this Bloodthirster at you several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would get over there, roll no 6s, and then you just fucking shoot him to death.
Yeah. Like I said, you're terrible at playing monsters.
That's a fair point. I appreciate that. It's actually Dan from Herefordshire Wargaming. Sorry about that, buddy. Elmo says, I'm afraid of Khorne with my flesh eater courts. The spells are super crucial and they will be very hard to pull off without casting bonuses. And then First Brave says, cheers guys, have a blast in Chicago. Love you too, Nick. You've thrown Skulls champion.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously me and Nathan are going to be at Adepticon.
Yes.
If you guys listen to this podcast, please see us there. Very much looking forward to meeting all of our merry bros.
Yes.
Yes.
And, yeah, definitely meeting all the dudes out there and dudettes.
All dudettes, mini dudes, big dudes, wide dudes, thin dudes, all you dudes and dudettes of those also varieties and colours. We didn't mention them. Persuasions, just digging a deeper hole all the time. Religiousons. Thanks, Luvo. But yeah, we're going to go have a great time. So yeah, if you do see us, please let us know. Which is why we're doing a shorter show today. So we're sorry about that. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining us. You guys have been amazing. Thanks for the really healthy chat in the Twitch chat. Thank you to everyone. Or a jet. All right. Oh no. We will try to do some shows and some podcasts and stuff from Adepticon.
Yeah.
So listen out for those. Follow us on all of our Twitches and YouTubes and channels. Thank you to everyone on Patreon and Twitch. Nathan, as always, thank you very much for your
Thank you for having me, sir.
Thank you for your support and love. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Fat Snork, Barbonic, Dino Titan Edition, Retisanti with your jet emoji. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys soon. And if we don't see you at Adepticon and you're not there, we'll see you somewhere else. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for being great, honest wargamers, everyone in the world. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.